On this episode of Hit the Books Podcast, special Halloween edition, we discuss all the spooky ongoings at DC Production Studios, new trailers from Marvel Studios, and a lot of discourse surrounding Sony and the PlayStation 5. Stay tuned! Boo! Hello, and welcome to another edition of Hit the Books Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Chris Holcomb.
And I'm Emery Saunders.
And we're here to bring you all the nerdy news you need to know about this week. Of course, the ghost of Nick Marlatt is also with us. In the air. Above and below us all.
And also standing in for him is our very favorite picture of the one, the only, Sir Patrick Stewart.
Woo! Welcome, Sir Pat. Thank you. Thank you very much. It's nice to see you. As always, looking beautiful. Looking studly.
Boldly going anywhere you damn well please.
So, if you haven't been paying attention to the show, and why would you? We obviously took a long hiatus, about 3 weeks, 4 weeks. My baby was born. If you watched the previous release on YouTube, you'll have seen a little intro video where I discuss, hey, we've been dealing with a baby, so we haven't had time to record. And obviously, you and Nick have been pushing those natural ones pretty hard and working hard on that project.
Those natural ones you can find on twitch.tv/those natural ones at Tuesdays at 8:30 p.m.
You can also find them on YouTube, which of course links will be in the description. And I saw Nick posted yesterday that apparently you guys are on podcast services as well.
Yes, we have been opened up to just about everywhere you can find your podcast except for Google. Apparently, there's a 7-day wait for some reason.
Interesting. Yeah, I haven't put our podcast on Google Podcasts because it's a fairly recent development. But yeah, we're everywhere else. So.
Oh, yeah.
So definitely check that out. If you need a D&D Dungeons and Dragons fix, those natural ones will take care of you.
Again, every Tuesdays at 8:30.
Now, for the format of the show, we're making some minor changes. We're hoping to be able to break these into clearer segments for you to be able to digest them in a more timely manner. We get it. Sometimes you don't always have the time to sit down and watch or listen to a 2.5, 3 hour episode of Hit the Books Podcast. But maybe if we put in some little bite-sized pieces where we focus exclusively on the movie, TV content, exclusively on the video game content, exclusively on the comic book content, you can go and look at that. Now, obviously, we do a lot of crossover materials, comic books that become movies and video games and vice versa. So if any of that stuff comes up, we're just going to stick it in the category that it pertains to directly. So if it's a movie based on a comic book, it's going to be in the movies and TV section of the show. It will not be on the comic book section of the show. Hopefully that's clear.
While all of this is very much connected, and trust me, that's by design, we understand that your time is precious. Your time is valuable. And, well, most of us have busy lives. Taking that into account, yes, we are going to be doing our damnedest to make this more on the go, as it were.
Now, knowing how we rant on the show, I imagine that bite-sized pieces means like 45 minutes. So it'll still be a sizable chunk for a lot of them, especially this week, just because we have a month of material to go over. And there was some big reveals, big news that happened. Some of it happened literally yesterday, 2 days ago.
Yeah, we're going to be moving in that direction. It's not going to be an overnight thing, but the idea is to make us easier to watch.
And of course, why wouldn't you watch? If you're watching our YouTube channel, you're rewarded with a great costume rendition from Emery of the Crow.
And an equally effort well spent costume of the Riddler.
Well, I would call it effort well spent because there's very little effort into this. I just bought it. I loosely tied a tie with riddles, question marks on it. And then I chose not to wear the pants for the podcast because you're not going to see my pants anyway.
Meanwhile, I spent $5 at Walmart for face paint that I hope will come off. And for those of you watching, you can see that while I put some effort into putting it on, let's just say some of it might have sweated on the way to sitting down.
I got to be honest with you. I think it looks even better disheveled, though.
Yeah.
The Crow should be disheveled, and I think it looks awesome the way it is right now.
Hey, I'll take it.
We'll see if it lasts, because it looks like it's melting before my eyes. But
I think it might have a perpetual melting look.
Yeah, so
it feels like it's cooled, but, we're going to see where the night takes us.
We'll see. So definitely watch the YouTube channel for the special Halloween episode of Hit the Books Podcast, because we're having a lot of fun and we think you will too. Of course, we always put special edits in there if you want to watch the video. But of course, if you don't want to watch the video or you just don't have time and you want to listen to the podcast, you can find us on Stitcher, iTunes, Podbean, Spotify, Amazon Podcasts, and we'll probably try to get on Google as well pretty soon here. Additionally, if you want to reach out to us and suggest any questions for the show to discuss or topics for the show, constructive feedback, you name it, you can reach out to us at HTBVids, VIDS, on Twitter. You can reach out to us on Facebook.com/HitTheBooks. And you can always email us at HitTheBooksVids, VIDS, @gmail.com.
Every single time.
And if you would like to send your lewd Halloween fan art to Emery,
I swear to God,
please
every
email us
time with you
at HitTheBooksVids@gmail.com. All right. Well, we have a lot to go over, but first I'd like to catch up with you.
Yeah, it's been a little bit.
So what have you been listening to, reading, enjoying, not enjoying?
Lately I have been definitely not enjoying Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power.
Oh, seems to be a very common sentiment.
Yeah, I think that
the finale's come out now, right?
The finale's come out.
Again, I can't believe they spent $1 billion on 10 episodes.
I don't know where the money went. What did they spend it on?
Oh, no.
I mean, it looks like they bought a ton of newcomers and did their best to remix the entirety of the Silmarillion, or at least a chunk of it.
Yeah.
And then, how did this show manage to look very pretty but also cheap at the same time?
Oh,
I don't understand.
I knew this wasn't going to be for me when I saw in an interview, I think it was the producer was talking about how this was not going to be a one-for-one, regurgitation of the books or the lore, that they would have creative flexibility to change things as they so choose. And then they also discussed how they wanted to ensure that creatively it was not connected to the Lord of the Rings movies or The Hobbit in terms of art style, direction, and all that. Well, they must have just completely ignored that, because a lot of the shit looks like it's ripped from Lord of the Rings, and then they kind of fuck it up by doing their own thing with it instead of following the protocol.
Yeah, they remixed it. They mixed and matched the pieces that they thought was cool, and then they told bits and pieces of the story in a way that just paints a lot of these characters and factions and entire people groups in a pretty poor light. I can't even begin to talk about the stand-ins for the hobbits that are called the Harfoots. It's like, there are people who are about they're about the connection of family and never leaving anyone behind, except for when they do leave someone behind. And guys,
So
I'm
I'm a huge Lord of the Rings nerd. I mean, Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit and the Silmarillion and all of those expansion books that Christopher Tolkien, Tolkien's son, released and kind of like put his father's notes together and then filled in the blanks wherever he left them. I dove so deep into that lore, I wasn't quite, like the Trekkie nerds who learned all the languages of all the aliens, and, I wasn't learning, Elven or anything like that, but I knew everybody's lineage, I knew everybody's names, I knew who were the big bads, who were the small bads, at what point and what time, there's a shout out to a lot of the YouTubers that cover Tolkien lore. They do a great job. There's like several that I just frequently, when I'm just sitting on the toilet with nothing to do, I'm like, I'll watch a 15-minute video about the deep dark lore of Morgoth in the First Age.
I'll listen to a tale about the dragon that was as big as an entire mountain range.
Yeah. So why not kill some time?
Yeah.
I feel like with the First and Second Ages, everything should be bigger. Like,
everything should be bigger.
The Third Age and the Lord, obviously the Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit ages. These ages were significant because they were kind of the conclusion and the cleanup of the Second Age and the First Age,
right?
Where the real shit went down with Morgoth and then the rise of Sauron during his first entry into the series and domination.
Right.
So I would expect the characters and the cast and the production to be bigger and just more over the top, more creatures, more monsters, more orc armies, more goblin armies. Everything should be bigger in the First and Second Age if you're going to do a prequel series. The problem is it's a TV show. They spent $1 billion on it, but I don't see it. And every character looks like a scrawny vegan version of who they should have been. And then you take all of that and insert creative liberties into the production by directors, producers, writers, cast that are fairly unknown and have yet to proven anything.
Right.
And it makes a soup of disaster, a soup of chaos that I don't want any part of it. And I could watch it and be like, wow, I was totally wrong. But from what everybody's telling me, the most dedicated of Tolkien fans in my life, it's mediocre to bad. With the only redemption coming late in the series, and that being a fairly mild redemption, from what I'm told. And that's disappointing because the Tolkien world is huge. Like it's vast. It's
like the word epic comes to mind in the truest sense of that word.
There's a reason why every fantasy series in existence seems to have its roots
in Lord of the Rings.
In Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit. And this show is just clearly it's not it. It's not it.
It's not it. And
to be fair, it's a very difficult standard to live up to.
Right.
Incredibly difficult, which is why you shouldn't pursue something like this unless you're damn sure of what you are doing.
Right.
And I don't think they are.
And not only were they not in any position to make something like this, given the weighty burden of expectation and previous forms of media that have done at least some modicum of justice to this series of books. But when you go out of your way to not let Peter Jackson have anything to do with this, to not have any say, not have any notes, not have any, suggestions even.
But Emery, They only had $1 billion. How could they afford Mr. Jackson? How could they possibly afford with $1 billion for 10 episodes? Peter Jackson.
Of course, they couldn't. They probably spent most of that budget laundering cocaine.
Oh, the DC approach.
Oh.
Bold strategy. Bold strategy.
Amazon.
So did you watch it from end to end?
Yeah.
So they're gonna make more because you watched it.
They're
gonna be like, oh, everybody's watching it. It's doing great numbers. Let's do it again.
Apparently, it's already been greenlit for a season 2.
No, no. I did see the quote. I think it was from one of the directors of the show, where he said that I get that the first season was a little rough on the edges, but it's just building up for an amazing season 2. I was just so flabbergasted that you would be so bold as to pitch your terrible first season as an excuse to watch the good, quote unquote, second season.
The balls you gotta have.
Ugh, just reeks of flop sweat and just disappointing. It's disappointing. You know, I'm a super nerd. I get it.
Yeah. Where did the money go?
Yeah, there's a lot of problems with that show and the production.
Yeah, and we're getting a season 2.
Congrats.
All right.
Yeah. What else have you been up to?
I've been making my way through more of my favorite manga, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure.
Great.
We're into...
I assume you mean the TV show?
Yeah. Not the manga. Yeah, anime. That's what I meant.
Yep.
Thank you, Netflix. Yeah, we're getting deeper into part 6, which is normally called Stone Ocean, but and most of the internet calls it Stone Ocean is the New Black, because it's basically Orange is the New Black.
JoJo version.
The JoJo version.
Yeah.
Yeah. That show's a lot of fun and bizarre. Who would have guessed?
You said it.
I said it. I said the thing. Let's see. I've been... what else have I been doing? Oh. I haven't purchased the game yet, but I've been watching videos of a game that came out recently called Gotham Knights.
We'll talk about it in the news.
Oh, we're definitely going to talk about it.
There's some concerns.
When
I want to say I was right, I was right. I was right. I was right about a lot of things during this month off.
Oh, yeah.
I have a lot of gloating to get to during the show.
You son of a bitch. You were way more right than anyone wanted you to be.
Although, I will admit that we were both pretty down on Gotham Knights, and
yeah,
doesn't look like we were wrong.
No.
Yeah.
Apparently, it plays like they were anticipating this to be the success that they thought the Avengers was going to be.
Disappointing.
It's bad.
Yeah, we'll talk about it more later, but I just don't understand how you can fuck up a game that already has all its systems built for you. The lore is already built for you. The Arkham games exist. They did all the heavy lifting for you.
Yeah.
Everything's done.
Yeah.
You just got to not fuck it up.
Ugh. It hurts.
Yeah. It's rough.
Yeah,
it's rough.
It's not fun. Yeah, apart from that, just been playing a lot of D&D.
Yeah, those natural ones. I think you're on episode 13 now?
I believe so. Also, I've been running a game of my own offline. its home game. With the inspiration for the story being like several different things, which include Game of Thrones, because it's kind of hard to get away from that.
All right, so
Yeah.
dragons and incest.
Yeah. But also Bridgerton, because this is high fantasy that involves all of the Fae courts and hoity-toity relationships that one can engage in. But I've also, because I'm a David Bowie simp,
Saying it lightly.
lightly, Labyrinth is an influence.
So you got a nice cock piece in there somewhere.
Spoilers? No dongs. No dongs.
Not even the spiky ones.
How dare you?
How crazy is it that in the 80s they're like, kids movie, gonna be kind of terrifying. We're gonna have this goblin creature kind of like abduct this girl and say he's going to marry her, and then he's gonna thrust his big cod piece in front of the camera everywhere he goes.
Oh.
But it's a kids movie.
Thanks.
Like, what? Did we think about this twice?
We thought about it once and realized David Bowie said yes, so we're doing this.
He said the only way he was doing this movie is if he gets to wear his cod piece. What?
Yeah.
But why?
The 80s was a wild time.
It's a strange time.
It was a very wild time.
Yeah.
But yeah, mostly the fact that the big bad evil guy is going to be largely based on Jareth the Goblin King.
Okay.
And
no cod piece though.
No cod piece.
That should be like an item you can steal if you got a high enough dexterity rating or whatever.
My mind does not want to contemplate having to describe someone stealing David Bowie's fucking codpiece out from under him.
What is that new rule? Like, if you roll a 20, it doesn't matter how ridiculous it is, you succeed. That's what I want.
Oh, yeah, no. Hard pass.
Let's roll, baby.
How dare you?
I like my chances.
Oh, God damn it. If you did roll a 20, I would have to describe, like... No, you know what? You know what I would do? I would have the player, which would be you in this case, describe exactly how you managed to steal David Bowie's codpiece out from under him.
Slick hands. Slick hands, baby. Want to see a magic trick?
Son of a bitch. But yeah, that's the game that I'm running, and I'm doing something right because the group that I'm running that game with, we were supposed to be doing like every other week is my game. Every other week is one of the other players' games.
Mm-hmm.
But they've decided to just focus on mine because they're invested and they like where it's going.
Nice.
You know, like, I'll take it. Also, holy shit, I have to design a maze right now. But yeah, a lot of D&D, occasionally playing games and video games specifically. Actually, there is one other game. I'll just briefly mention it. It's a game designed by I think it's Koga Igarashi, the guy who designed Castlevania. Since he parted ways with Konami, and like most other people in that company did, he went on to I'll make my own Castlevania with blackjack and hookers. And he made this game called Bloodstained: Ritual of the Night.
Yep.
It's a very thinly veiled allusion to Castlevania Symphony of the Night, the most popular game that Castlevania's ever made.
Yep.
The game's amazing.
Yeah, I've heard nothing but good things. It's literally sitting on my hard drive on my PS5 right now. Still haven't played it because I've been playing something else, which I'll get to.
Oh, well,
But,
I've gone through everything that I've been doing. What have you been up to?
Well, I've been covered in pee, poop, puke, sweat, tears, a little bit of blood, just about everything you can imagine.
Your dignity?
That was gone a long time ago, long before the child arrived. So
that's fair.
Yeah, I host this show, if that tells you anything.
Hey, I also host this show. Mediocre.
But there hasn't been a ton of time to really do anything too crazy. However, I have been off my day job during this short period of time. And when I can get the baby to calm down enough and fall asleep or whatever after feeding, I play an hour or two of Horizon Zero Dawn. So it's another one of the many games I've had on my backlog that I started and then got busy with something and then decided to play something else and then just didn't feel like relearning everything and going back and playing it. So started the game from scratch, as I do. And in my new quest to force myself to finish everything, including games I hate, like Grand Theft Auto 5. Like I hated forcing myself to play that game.
Oh no!
Yeah, my wife kept asking, "Why do you keep playing this if you don't like it?" Like, I gotta finish the game. It's just gonna always be there in the back of my brain,
living rent free.
Yeah. So I went back to Horizon Zero Dawn. This game is excellent. The game is so damn good. It really is. And I think they released it for PC not too long ago, or they're releasing it for PC soon.
Yeah,
but
there's been several formerly PlayStation exclusives that are now getting to live on the PC recently.
Yeah, years after their release. So no harm, no foul there. It's a great game. If you have a PC or you have a PlayStation 4 or a PlayStation 5, it's probably super cheap right now. It's free, I believe, on the extended PlayStation Plus tiers.
Yeah, PlayStation Plus Premium, I think, is where you get games like that.
And it's great. It's a great game. It holds up really well. Still looks great. I'm playing, there's no PS5 version at the moment, but it still looks outstanding. I think if I had any minor complaints, it's that every once in a while there's a weird mission glitch where it doesn't come off my, completed missions.
Oh, yep.
And it's not a big thing, but the OCD in me is like, go away. I've already completed you. Go away.
Just register that I did it.
Yeah. But I'm having a ton of fun playing it. Have you played through it?
I have not, actually.
Okay, yeah. It's great. By now, I hate to call it even a spoiler, because you find out in the first 10, 15 minutes of the game, it tells you pretty clearly, spoiler alert for an old game, that you're basically in this dystopian future after the collapse of society. This will be in the news. It's just why I'm bringing it up.
Yeah, if the Robo Dinos weren't that dead of a giveaway.
Yeah, so you could imagine it was like some weird alien society or some fantasy world where, for whatever reason, there's some kind of mechanic creatures roaming. No, it's basically automation. Everything Andrew Yang was against takes over, and it's. If you read the story logs that you find throughout the maps, and everything has some kind of story log attached to it. There's audio logs from dead bodies you find and stuff like that.
Yeah.
A lot of it is very analogous to stuff that's happening right now.
Oh.
And in the recent past, this game came out in the 20-teens, 2016, 2017, somewhere around there, I think.
Yeah.
And that was obviously pre-pandemic. Well, if you look in the audio logs, there's a pandemic that hurts society and gives rise to a bunch of extremist groups.
Oh, no.
Companies become bigger and bigger, mega corporations that use automation as a means to cut costs. And so people are constantly immigrating, trying to find work because they're being replaced by robots. And then eventually it gets to a point where they start building their own private robot armies. to defend their stakes and basically start taking over governments, and it gets real crazy if you really dive into that lore. And I'm like, it's a little too on point. And then, of course, in this dystopian future, everything, like, they're all ignorant to this fact, but the main character is connected to that world in a way. That's the real thing that I don't want to spoil, that you find out as you work your way through the game. That's the real interesting twist that I think a lot of people don't know. So if you think you've had the game spoiled for you, you probably haven't. There's some big reveals in the game that are really cool and really interesting. And obviously the game got a sequel that I'm going to get to eventually. But yeah, it's a great world. I think it's more interesting than The Last of Us was.
Yeah.
I love The Last of Us. Last of Us is the original game is a phenomenal video game and story, an example of how video games can touch you, like emotionally, using fairly simple, common third-person mechanics and just really great environmental storytelling. I think Horizon does a very similarly good job of doing that, and there's a lot of great analogs to just everyday life in the game that you can point to and be like, yeah, I can kind of see why they would do that, or why they would believe that, or why they behave like that, just given our everyday life and, you know, the factions of people you see within people in the tribes, if you will, that you see everywhere. It's really cool. It's really interesting. Highly recommend. A lot of deep lore, a lot of great stuff if you want to dig your teeth into it.
Dig those Robo Dino teeth.
And again, this is, people already know this. The trailers for the second game basically showed like San Francisco and the bridge there and everything. So it's already known that, hey, this is far dystopian version after society collapsed of basically the Western United States. And this game happens to be kind of like in the Denver area. If obviously you pick this up through the cues, because she doesn't know what Denver is. She's not gonna,
Oh yeah,
There's nothing telling the main character Aloy what any of this is. She's just doing her best to interpret the uninterpretable.
Right. It's like having little to no frame of reference for like just anything from what would probably just seem like the ancient world to them. Yeah,
and then again, I don't want to spoil anything, but there's some really great like reveal moments where you go to other parts of the country, particularly of the West, and you're like, oh wow, that's a cool idea. That's neat. So highly recommend this game. I don't think it got enough press. It got reviewed very well and people liked it, but I don't think a lot of people picked it up for some reason.
Yeah, I think I don't want to have to say this, but the release of those games has been, I think, cursed twice over. I can't remember what came out for like the first game, Horizon Zero Dawn, but I know specifically with Horizon Forbidden West, the game that completely eclipsed it was Elden Ring.
Yeah.
And like when you have a game like Elden Ring coming out, maybe it's just me, I would have suggested, hey, maybe wait about a month or two so that,
do what a lot of games now are doing.
Right.
Release in January and February. Give yourself some breathing room.
Right. It's weird that we've gotten to the point where now video games are basically handling their scheduled releases the same way movies are now, so as to avoid being drowned out or stepping on the toes of another project that's coming out around the same time.
Yeah, for sure. So, other than that, really haven't had time for much else. I mean, I wanted to watch some shows, but really I like to watch the shows with my wife, so I really haven't dived into any TV shows because we're often on shifts with the baby, trying to
take
care of the baby so someone else can get some sleep.
It's gonna be like that for you for a little while.
Yeah, but I really am, with the baby laying on my chest, having a good time playing Horizon Zero Dawn, which is ironic because it's a very tense game at moments, and there's some very big, loud, boisterous things happening on screen. The baby's just like completely unconscious, unaware of it, doesn't care, does not care. So I was like, all right, cool. I'll just keep playing this loud, obnoxious game. I did want to mention this. I did also start diving into Zelda Breath of the Wild. On my wife's Nintendo Switch. This is right when the baby came home. We were spending a lot of basically days just trapped in the bedroom because we couldn't get him to keep calm and feed on a regular basis and sleep on a regular basis. So like we were basically between the crib, the bed, and the bathroom. Showering as when we could. So there really wasn't much time to like go downstairs to the living room and do anything. Now we're kind of doing a shift where one of us is in the living room with the baby, the other person's upstairs trying to get some sleep or whatever else. And I can see why the game got so much hype. It is enjoyable. The game is very dated though. Like
okay,
and it was. I think it was probably dated when it came out.
The game is not just dated. The hardware that it's playing on is dated.
Yeah. And again, I'm comparing to Horizon Zero Dawn right now, which I think Breath of the Wild came out after Horizon Zero Dawn. So I'd have to look up the dates, but I'm sure they were in the same realm.
Right.
The graphic quality, the stability of the game is not there. Like, there's a lot of pop-in and rendering issues. I mean, there's a lot of things that look nice and colorful, but really it's just a lot of the same things over and over and over repeating themselves. The dungeons all look the same. The world basically looks the same everywhere you go.
It's just bigger. It's just a whole lot bigger.
Yeah,
that's all they did was they stretched the map out.
You got these like magnetism gimmicks and stuff that you can play with. I mean, I guess it's, there's not really a story, which sucks because that's like the part of Zelda that I like the most. Granted, it's a fairly basic story, but I like the story beats when they're there. There's really not much here.
The story was the time you spent along the way.
Yeah, and to be fair, I've only gotten about maybe, 10 hours into the game before I transitioned to Horizon because I was in the living room.
Oh, yeah.
And I'll get back to it once I finish Horizon, but yeah.
It's
good.
It's real big.
It's not a 10.
Oh.
It's certainly it sells systems, sure. But there's not much else selling that system besides Animal Crossing, maybe, and that was basically as big as it was because of the pandemic, I think.
There is one game that you should play, and it's called Metroid Dread.
Okay, is that the side-scroll Metroid game?
Yeah, that's the classic style Metroid.
I've never been a big Metroid guy, so I don't know if I'll be warm to that.
I'd say
I'll give it a shot.
Yeah, watch a video to see if you'd be into that kind of game.
Yeah,
I would recommend that. A couple other games that I've been playing that I would kind of recommend, if you ever get a moment. Another game that I've been playing is Strangers in Paradise. Or Strangers of Paradise, Final Fantasy Origins.
The original OG Final Fantasy prequel. Is it 16-bit? Yeah, it's 16-bit, right?
It was 8-bit.
It was on original Nintendo.
Yeah.
All right.
It's like the OG.
So I know Final Fantasy 3, which is 6, was on Super Nintendo.
Yeah.
2,
which was 4.
That was Super Nintendo also, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think the first one, the first Final Fantasy that we got was technically their second.
Okay.
So this is like the original.
Yeah.
And oh my god.
Chaos.
The chaos is so thick I can taste it.
Yeah, I liked it. I really enjoyed the shit posting going around about that game and the constant allusions to chaos.
It's not unwarranted. That game spends a lot of time, but then it takes a turn towards the end, and then anyone who's not familiar will be taken by surprise that the person that you're playing as, Jack Garland, is actually the villain of the very first Final Fantasy game.
Chaos.
And the bosses that you would fight in the original Final Fantasy are this time the friends you made along the way.
Aww. Adorable.
And the actual goal, the true goal that you were getting after was inside you all along. The goal being, you're actually technically aliens to this realm, and your goal is to not get rid of chaos, but to manage it and occasionally unleash it when it gets too tipped in the favor of like order. It's
unfortunate.
It's unfortunate, but you got to do it. You're the guy.
This kind of reminds me a lot of Final Fantasy 15's ending.
Ooh.
Which is just completely unnecessary.
Ooh.
I hate to even call it an ending because that game's not finished. The game's still not finished. But yeah, we don't need to rant about Final Fantasy again.
Not that one. This one is, weirdly enough, like when you finish the game, you definitely finish the game. The story's over. But then DLC came out where you can actually, as Garland, fight the Warrior of Light, the person that you play as, like all the way back in the fucking 80s. You get to be the bad guy this time.
Nice.
And your goal is to, because that story is all about a time loop. Like, you're consistently fighting this guy and sending him all the way back to the beginning of his quest, which is basically their way of justifying, all of these stages that we made, we're going to make you play through all of them, and we're going to change the rewards so that way you're still playing the same shit over and over and over again.
That is classic RPG bullshit development.
Oh, yeah. The loot.
How do you like playing through the same levels again?
How do you like randomized loot? How do you like being able to determine how, like, the difficulty level of these stages and determining how rewarded you are by these things? Like, how do you like beating a stage just so that you can take a job class that caps out at 30 and bump it up to level 55 because we're all about breaking our limits in this game.
Great. Sounds great. You're really selling it.
I'm really selling it. And just yesterday, just last night, another DLC came out where this time the goal is to fight a dimension-hopping jackass named Gilgamesh.
Delightful. Series staple, of course.
Series staple. He's dressed like kabuki face paint. Sounds like a doofus. Has 4 arms for some reason, and like sometimes you get hit for 1 damage. Sometimes he kills you with 1 hit.
Delightful.
It's a wild time. I think the thing that's drawn me to that game is that I'm really about because I'm a D&D nerd. Like, I like unlocking new classes and being able to do new things with the characters. And it also helps that while the loot with a T, the loot that you get is like the drippiest drip that you could ever put on a character.
Nice.
Oh my god. Like, I didn't understand the necessity of like playing dress up with these characters until playing this game. Like, you can mix and match, and the fashion is the end game. Like, honestly,
so it's Final Fantasy X too.
Yes. Yes, and
damn it,
I hate how much
I hate that game.
like, I hate that game too. And
I wanted like
I hate
something substantial to follow Final Fantasy X to kind of finish that story out. No. You're going to hold a button down, and your character's going to change dresses to fight, and the game's going to play itself for 15, 20 hours. And then you get a super unsatisfactory ending.
Yeah, Final Fantasy Origins had the good sense to lock classes behind weapons.
Yeah.
As opposed to, like, entire outfits.
Upsetting.
It's a fun little mindless grind.
All right, I wasn't going to do this, but I got a rant.
Yep.
You and I both are huge Final Fantasy fans.
Mm-hmm.
As much as you love the job system, the class system, I hate it. I hate being given that many options and choices with characters. I want the characters to be a specific thing.
Like, the characters themselves to have their own thing and not have to actually choose jobs for them.
Exactly. You know, I'm not going to be bagging groceries one day and then the next day decide I'm going to be a medic. It's not going to happen. I'm going to have to go to school. It's going to take years. I'm going to have to do some practice. You know, I'm not going to become a ninja overnight just because the system allows me to. And I think it kind of ruins the characters and the character development.
Maybe you won't become a ninja overnight. Give me a sword and some smoke bombs. I kind of got this.
All right, totally unimportant rant over.
But yeah, if you're into like Dark Souls type combat with a story that's maybe a little too far up its own ass.
That's not Square Enix in a nutshell.
Yeah. Final Fantasy Origins just might be the game for you. The other game, last game that I've been playing, Cyberpunk 2077.
Yeah, you talked about it on the last episode. You're having a good time still?
I found recently a car in the middle of the desert, and I think it might be the fastest car in the game.
Nice.
It looks like a fucking Lamborghini, and it handles just as fidgety as one too.
Oh, delightful.
This game puts me in a zen flow state when I drive.
Nice.
It's for something that I can just do in real life. Like, I have a car. I can drive places if I want to. Doing it in this game with a car that looks that aesthetically pleasing, I don't know. It just does something to me. I think I might be starting to understand car people.
That's delightful.
Between that and getting the bright red motorcycle that makes me feel like Akira, or not Akira, Kaneda from the movie Akira. This game is very aesthetically pleasing. The gameplay outside of driving, like, sometimes it works very well. Sometimes it, how do I put this? It's basic at best first-person shooter action.
No, that's disappointing. You seemed really into it last time we talked.
I mean, I am into it mostly because all of the side stories kind of have me hooked. But the gameplay by itself, I feel like all I'm doing is I'm either pressing R1 and L1 together to go into bullet time mode where everything slows down and I just hack people to bits, or I install something different into my brain where I'm actually just hacking people's cyber eyes and making them blind for a second so that I can sneak up and be a real bastard.
Can you put like buckets on their head, Skyrim style?
I've never tried that.
Wasted opportunity.
That being said, there is like a berserk mode where you kind of rage out and you're extra strong and you don't take fall damage. You instead do like a fucking superhero landing, which is fucking wild. The guns in the game are all like exactly as teched out as I would have liked for something that takes place in 2077. Again, it's all aesthetically pleasing, like as far as how it looks.
Yeah.
But the gameplay itself seems like it's not nearly as deep as I would have liked.
That's a bummer.
It's like hacking is simple, like the combat is simple.
That's sad coming from CD Projekt Red, especially because they're pretty good at having deep combat in their Witcher games, at least.
Yeah, I think the game just needed more time.
Gotcha.
It just is like Final Fantasy 15 still fucking incomplete to this day. So is Cyberpunk 2077.
Oh,
is like a whole lot of potential that may or may not ever be fully realized.
That's sad. That's disappointing.
It is.
You bring up a lot of great points about video games in general, and I just got to bring it back up again. Horizon has really deep, really fun gameplay.
Yeah.
As fun as you would think, taking down robot dinosaurs and robot saber-toothed tigers and robot fucking eagle things, just every manner of creature you could imagine.
Yeah.
That have unique abilities. They all have, weak spots where you can shoot off their fuel sources for some of their attacks and get rid of some of their attacks, and it's not easy. It's challenging. If you could really get fucked up if you're just like trying to mash buttons and not be strategic about what weapons you're using against what creatures.
Yeah.
Again, I got to give this game a lot of credit. It's one of the most enjoyable games I played probably the last 5 to 10 years.
Wow.
Yeah, I really enjoy this game.
That is high praise.
Yeah, again, it's a PS4 game, so don't expect it to be, like modern game console levels of polish.
Right.
It's going to have some quirks in it just because, it's an older game and it's got some mission glitches and stuff like that, but it's a really solid game. Even the resource management. Like most games, you get to a point where you have so many of a certain resource that the game is just broken. Like you can buy whatever you want whenever you want. The items you can buy stop being useful because you got all these super weapons from your quests and stuff like that. No, like you actually have to participate in the economy of the game world to like really get some progress. Like some missions require you to buy certain weapons or you can't do them.
Oh man.
And you can't just buy anything. So even if you do stockpile a bunch of their currency, which are shards or metal shards from the robots, you still have to have like other items to purchase certain things because they won't trade with you unless you have everything they want to trade for that specific weapon or armor or suit or modification, whatever.
Okay.
So it's really robust and it's much deeper than anybody I've heard give it credit for. And I am very pleasantly surprised because in a world where there's a lot of sameness in video games, everything's a Souls ripoff, everything's a Call of Duty ripoff, everything's a Fortnite ripoff, and outside of that you got sports games. Like,
which haven't significantly innovated in more than a decade.
yeah, and then you can have some Ubisoft games if you want to get real crazy. Have a fucking Assassin's Creed 600.
Fucking map checklist the game.
Yes. So it's really refreshing, and I want to give Guerrilla Games a lot of credit. I'm really enjoying it. We'll see if they stick the landing, because I think I'm getting towards the second half of the game now. But yeah, they really made a stellar product, so I hope it continues making me as happy as it has so far.
Yeah, cross your fingers.
All right, I think that's about everything we've needed to catch up on. Let's get into the news.
All right,
so we are going to start with the TV and movie news, because there's a lot of it.
Oh.
Again, this has been a very busy month, so why don't we start with what's been going on at DC? Now,
of all places.
Now, I'm going to build up to the big reveal that happened very recently, but there's a lot of news leading up to that big reveal that I think is important to talk about.
Like Sisyphus rolling the boulder up the mountain. Let's see exactly how far it gets.
I just want to remind you that it's always darkest before the dawn.
You took that from a fucking... Was that The Dark Knight? I think it was The Dark Knight.
So,
okay.
Keep that in mind as we go through these news items, because it's going to get really dark. And it's going to get darker and darker still. And then on the horizon, you'll see just a little peak of light. A little bit of sun coming up. Bringing warmth. Bringing joy. In the distance.
Either you die a hero or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain.
There's a lot of that. All right, first up, DC Films president Walter Hamada has finally left Warner Brothers as promised after the premiere of Black Adam.
Oh, man.
He's had a rough tenure, Walter Hamada. He obviously had this whole transition from the Snyder direction to kind of a halfway in, halfway out direction where they barred Superman from appearing in Shazam in his cameo and all this other stuff. And then they reneged on it, towards the end of his tenure. And obviously he's had this whole Ezra Miller issue. He was leading DC Productions.
Ezra Miller debacle, let's be real. They
were committing, $150 million to these HBO Max projects and basically all the stuff that HBO is now cut under Warner Brothers Discovery since they got purchased. Batgirl, that's the big glaring
thing. Yeah.
That he famously was not told that they were canceling it, but obviously the Acts of Zaslav does not give a fuck.
And it cuts deep.
It sure does. So this is the big setup for what will eventually happen on the news. But I thought that was important to address. Obviously, it was rumored, we talked about this on previous episodes, that Dan Lin was going to be the guy that stepped in, the producer from the Lego movie. I thought that was probably a terrible idea.
That seemed like they were just putting names up on a board and picking whoever they threw a dart at.
Yep. So speaking of the Acts of Zaslav, it is reported that they have saved $2.5 to $3 billion with all the content that they canceled or removed from their streaming services. So
$2.3 billion.
When you think about
the money that would be made from 2 Marvel movies.
Probably. Yeah. But it's a significant amount, especially when you talk about Batgirl costing, $95 million or something like that?
Yep. This man had to watch it exactly one time before he said, oh, no.
And then they all complained.
He said,
all right, you want to see it? And made them all sit and watch it. Crickets. Nobody's complaining at all.
They shut all the way the fuck up.
And based on what the early previews were saying, everything I've read is described it as a bad episode of one of their TV series.
Was it Bad Woman? Was it a bad episode of Batwoman?
I mean, I don't think you really need to specify bad episode when you describe Batwoman.
There's a whole lot of CW.
Yeah. So there's that. But hey, we have a figure now. Now we know, it wasn't, $50 here, $50 there, which a lot of people were saying. No, it's billions of dollars.
This man was a surgeon, apparently, with all the cutting that he was doing with that axe.
Sure was. Speaking of cutting,
dark.
The Rock can't cut a promo without revealing all the secrets of his latest release. Dwayne Johnson has officially pissed off DC Productions. You were driving me crazy saying that The Rock was going to end up taking over DC Productions. And I hated that you were saying it because it was so likely based on the way the axe of Zaslav was swinging and not in his direction in any way, shape, or form.
Mm-hmm.
And The Rock was promoting hard with all of this stuff after being booed for discussing who was going to be Superman at Comic-Con.
It's almost like he wanted his movie to make money.
Well, they certainly made money, 130-something million first opening weekend, so unfortunately we're going to have more of it regardless of how bad it is. And let me clarify, the critic reviews are bad. They're like 5s, 6s, or lower. The audience reception, take it for what you will, is like in the 90s. And I'm like, there's no way that's possible. There's no way.
I'm pretty sure most people describe this movie as belonging in the 90s.
Have you seen it yet?
I have not.
All right.
But I've seen reviews and they've put it on equal footing with Venom.
That's not a good thing. So, yeah, we'll probably get more of it. But, I am interested to see how Pierce Brosnan plays Dr. Fate. It's one of my favorite DC characters. Great actor to play that specific character, I think, is really perfect casting.
I mean,
But they might fuck it up. I don't know.
From what I've seen, he's mostly voicing the character and holding a helmet.
I mean, what more do you need?
Fair. Like, I'm not going to make that man do any more stunts. He did his time with Bond.
I mean, we know DC is not going to not, over CG everything. And of course they did. It's a helmet. Just make a fucking helmet. You don't have to make this goofy, shiny CG, spongy version of the helmet. Just make a helmet. Just make a helmet.
Also, apparently, the Justice Society of America is renting a timeshare with Xavier.
Oh, delightful.
Yeah, apparently the Xavier School for Gifted Youngsters was low on cash, and they were renting it out to some fucking DC supergroup.
That's awesome.
It's like I saw footage of what the home base of the Justice Society of America, because we couldn't spring for the Justice League in the first movie. The Justice Society of America, they use that same mansion that they've used for the X-Men, for Batman himself, for literally any stereotypical large home that a rich superhero would probably live at.
Convenient.
Why not?
Whoever
actually owns that house is making a ton of money from the entertainment industry.
I'm not going to complain because they could have CG'd that too. So
they could have.
And they would have. Let's be clear. But back to the original news topic.
Yeah.
The Rock has unfortunately got on the wrong side. Or maybe fortunately. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, we will see.
They've gotten on the wrong side of DC Productions because he let loose that the major cameo was Henry Cavill. And he was going to appear as Superman in Black Adam as a secret ending in the credits.
It's almost like he wanted his movie to make money.
Yeah. So I suspect that is probably what happened.
Oh, yeah.
And it made money. So kudos to him. But obviously, the director was not very happy about him leaking that. I'm sure Henry Cavill was not particularly happy about him leaking that.
Oh, I'm pretty sure Henry Cavill was happy.
You think so?
I'm pretty sure he was happy that someone said to the entire world, "Hey, you guys like Henry Cavill as Superman, right? He's in my movie."
Yeah. I don't know if you've seen the clip or read the synopsis of the scene or anything like that, but apparently, this is the part I don't like. Amanda Waller, of all people, threatens Black Adam with Superman. And then Superman shows up and says, basically, don't fuck around or I'll be here. And that's it. Why is Amanda Waller in charge of anything? Why is Superman answering to Amanda Waller?
If you get around to editing like a clip in here, a really good clip to edit in here would be Elmo from Sesame can't say it right. Elmo from Sesame Street talking to his new arch nemesis Zoe and just saying the word "what?" There is no part of what you just said that makes any logical fucking sense.
No.
Amanda Waller being able to sick Superman on literally anyone is antithetical to Superman. What the fuck?
We don't need him back. Henry, sit this one out.
Oh my god.
We'll bring you back in the reboot. Why do I suspect there will be a reboot? Well, more on that soon.
More on that soon. You say that, and yet The Rock is basically going out of his way to try to get a sequel.
He sure is.
A direct sequel where the actual Justice Leagues show up because he wants to be the big deal. He really wants to be the big deal.
He just wants the paycheck. Come on. His D-list movies are not doing it for him. His disaster movies in the jungle.
Technically, this is the highest grossing movie with him at the helm.
That's kind of shocking.
Yeah. Somehow this movie, and I say somehow knowing full well this is a fucking superhero movie in the age of superhero movies, somehow this movie has done more for him than any of the Fast and Furious movies that he was in.
I think the thing that is driving me the most insane is the fact that Black Adam, who is a core villain for Shazam or Captain Marvel, the classic version, not the Marvel version, is not going up against Shazam at all. And they're pushing a Black Adam versus Superman movie.
It's almost like the actor playing Shazam the actor playing Black Adam might have a little bit of an ego or something.
Probably. But that's ridiculous. It's like taking Lex Luthor and being like, you're going to be the core villain for The Flash. But why? These characters don't know they're not related. Why are you stealing other people's core villains and characters when you already have the movie series, including the sequel that is coming in March because it got delayed? I don't know.
It's real dumb.
I stopped trying to understand DC and their terrible decision making.
This is what happens when DC starts to sound like doing cocaine.
But I am going to put the blame on Walter Hamada until further notice. We'll see, though.
We'll see.
Another bit of news from DC. HBO Max's Green Lantern series was thought to be potentially canceled, obviously, with all the other cancellations, such as Batgirl.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have The Flash, which is in flux, and Blue Beetle, which is also in flux. We don't know what's going on with those projects quite yet.
Not
but
yet.
There seems to be a direction. However, Green Lantern will not be canceled. However, it is being reworked from the baseline. It will now focus on Jon Stewart, which is my favorite Green Lantern, being a military guy, and will no longer go in the direction of Guy Gardner and Alan Scott, which is what apparently the original direction for the series was going to be.
Okay.
They've also drastically reduced the budget. The budget was famously high at $140 million for the series to be produced for HBO Max as an exclusive. They have not given a specific figure, but that was the point of contention with a lot of these projects, is that Warner Brothers Discovery and Mr. Zaslav did not want to spend $150 million on a streaming TV show that was probably going to be ass anyway, and focus on the least likable Green Lantern out of all the core Green Lanterns. Like, it was probably a shit project, and I'm glad it's canceled. I'm glad they're focusing on Jon Stewart. A little worried what direction they're going to go in, but I have a feeling that some things are going to be changed before the day is done.
You mean to tell me that they're picking a better, more well-liked Green Lantern, but they're reducing the budget?
Yes. Hey, before they had 2 Green Lanterns to fund, now they have 1.
They have 1. They have 1 that I would argue deserves that much money by themselves.
Yeah.
This is Green Lantern that we're talking about here. This is...
Let me play devil's advocate. I get it. It doesn't look good when you cancel all these movies and projects.
Mm-hmm.
And then you say, hey, we're going to keep this project. We're going to give you the character you want, but we're not spending shit on it. However, I will say DC is usually at their best when they're not spending just fistfuls of cash on terrible CG and just using green screen as a scapegoat for actual production and talent. So I am encouraged that they're going to a smaller budget. And you also have to remember that if they didn't use a smaller budget to keep this alive, we wouldn't get it at all. They would have just axed it completely. So I'm encouraged that maybe they'll go in a proper direction. And again, if we were still under Walter Hamada and we were still doing the same old, I would probably be very worried about this and say, hey, they're not going to do their due diligence with this character. But because of the changes that we'll discuss very soon, I have hope that it's probably the right decision, and it might ultimately be enjoyable.
Counterpoint. If there is any character that by its very nature would need a lot of money to make sure it works right, it would be Green Lantern.
He doesn't even have the mask, though. He doesn't have to do the Ryan Reynolds horribly animated lime green
that's
CG
good.
mask.
That's good.
Jon Stewart's just a guy in a suit.
That's a plus.
He's got a ring. He's got a suit.
Well, okay, that's all a plus. What's a minus is that Green Lantern's power is being able to mentally create whatever is in his imagination out of thin fucking air. And you know what it looks like when he makes it? It's translucent green! Do you realize that if there was any character that needed as much polish, as much CGI as would be required of a space cop, it would be Green fucking Lantern.
That's fair, dog.
It's like Green Lantern is about a person being inducted into an intergalactic space force, flies through space just by the will of his fucking magical ring, making constructs that include but are not limited to Spontaneously generated rockets, spontaneously mated suits of armor, spontaneously made oversized hands that are balled up into a fist.
Maybe they'll focus on character development.
Son of a
Because
bitch.
they don't have the budget for anything else.
Son of a bitch. If I get another fucking Green Lantern project that is all fucking pep talks on the goddamn couch.
It's about willpower, man.
It's about willpower that is concentrated into a green construct that comes out of a ring. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Don't fuck with me, DC. Don't fuck with me.
Speaking of other projects that haven't officially been canceled yet, Ezra Miller has pleaded not guilty to felony burglary charges and faces up to 26 years in prison.
I would tip this entire fucking table over if I wasn't so sure that the cleanup would make this take significantly longer. God.
Yeah, so Ezra Miller is fucking insane. If you have not been following all of the drama around this particular actor,
And I unfortunately have.
I highly recommend that you go Google it right now. He's been doing stuff like hitting people with a chair. He's had warrants out for his arrest in several states, including Hawaii, Massachusetts, North Dakota. He had a whole grooming thing where he was trying to groom underage boys, basically, meaning like teenagers, into his little Native American doomsday cult thing. And
he was literally under the delusion that he was some sort of new age Native American messiah that was supposed to be like, as soon as he copulates with a female Native American, that the end of the white man would come.
yeah, he's showing up with like body armor and assault rifles at just random people's houses, and there's a lot of things going on in that guy's head, and I don't think they're all healthy.
I don't think any of them are healthy.
But
since this is a point of contention on the internet, they need help. They also need arrested. And they need to be forgotten.
So, would you say we need to cancel the Flash movie? Due out on June 23rd, 2023?
Absolutely not.
Wow! That was not the answer I was expecting.
I'm saying absolutely not because apparently this film has tested very well, and I think they're going to at least recoup some of the money by marketing this as Ezra Miller's last movie.
Well, how would you feel if I told you that The Flash 2 has a script?
If I didn't think that the cleanup from flipping this table a second time was going to make this take significantly longer. What do you mean there's a second script already?
According to The Hollywood Reporter, a sequel has been penned by Aquaman writer David Leslie Johnson to immediately begin production following the June 23rd, 2023 release of The Flash.
With who as the Flash?
Ezra Miller.
Son of a...
This man can't keep himself out of jail. You're going to try to film a sequel to a movie nobody wants.
Oh my... Doing cocaine comics.
Yeah.
And when they finally make this the DCU as opposed to the DCEU... It'll be the Doing Cocaine universe.
Yeah, so there's a lot to unpackage with that individual. And I feel like he has to have dirt on the people, the producers, the actors, the staff. Something has to be going on in the background for him to continue having this much power and influence on DC Productions and DC Studios.
He's either seen something or taken part in something or made some sort of dark fucking deal.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, the actor who played Cyborg in the Justice League movie has made a lot of allegations alluding to there being significant issues with abuse of staff and bad behavior by executives within that company. So, and he seemed very happy about Walter Hamada's walking away from DC Studios in particular. So I suspect that there's been a lot of unseen, unknown potential abuses going on in the background that we're not aware of, and I wouldn't be surprised if Ezra Miller was savvy to some of it. Yeah. So, interesting, to say the least. However, there's hope, because following the darkest of moments for DC Productions, we are seeing the sun rise on the horizon. James Gunn is officially the Kevin Feige of the DC universe.
Of course, it would take someone from Marvel to fix DC.
However, this is all Marvel's fault. This is entirely Marvel's fault.
Oh, do tell.
They fired him. They fired him for a joke he made on Twitter. He went and made a movie with DC. DC was like, fuck, this guy's good. He took our worst movie of all time and turned it around completely and didn't even have to recast. James Gunn,
almost like he's talented or something.
He's very talented, yes. He will be co-CEO of the new production studios with Peter Safran. Peter Safran will be the guy kind of behind the scenes doing the financial part of the business, while James Gunn will be heading up the creative side of the business while also doing some directing. So we know he's doing some kind of team movie right now. He's in production for. Has not been announced what that is, but he is working on something already. And I imagine he's going to be working on several more movies. This is going to be the start of the Zaslav goal of having a 10-year plan, very much copying what Marvel did with its Marvel Cinematic Universe. And ironically, is all entirely because Marvel fired this guy, pissed him off, sent him to DC, did a great movie with DC. They're like, wait, come back and do Guardians of the Galaxy 3 for us. And they're like, all right. But only if I get to keep the people I want. They're like, all right, fine, you win. But thought it was funny because it was probably the extreme end of the cancel culture wars, when it really got ridiculous and started digging up just completely innocuous, like innocent tweets from like 10 years ago and started canceling people. Like, God, it was ridiculous. So it's kind of a blessing and a curse because James Gunn has a lot to sort out, having just arrived at DC Studios as the boss and the guy who's going to have to answer for everything that's coming. He had no part of Shazam 2 or Aquaman 2 or Black Adam. He has nothing to do with this Green Lantern project or the Flash and all the issues with Ezra Miller. He's not the guy that said bring Henry Cavill back. He had nothing to do with that. But now he has to somehow manage this while executing his new 10-year plan.
He has one thing that he needs to get immediately, and that's someone who can rein him in. Yes, he made the Guardians of the Galaxy and turned previously unknown Marvel property into a household name, but he also made Guardians of the Galaxy 2, which was just this side of being his own Thor Love and Thunder.
It was not nearly as bad as Thor Love and Thunder. Let's be clear.
That movie was literally laughing at its own jokes.
It hurts.
At least Thor Love and Thunder did not have the cast laughing at jokes that it set up within its own movie. Now, let me be clear.
To be clear, Thor Love and Thunder is the only movie that Nick Marlatt has not liked. So I want to emphasize that it has to be bad. It has to be real bad.
Yeah.
For Nick Marlatt to shoot down a Marvel film.
Yeah. Now, mind you, Guardians of the Galaxy 2, it was all right. It was a lot of self-indulgent.
Yeah.
He then gets placed over at DC, where he turns the worst property into quite arguably the best property.
Yeah, no doubt.
Like within one movie.
Yeah.
One movie.
Yeah.
He does this.
With the same people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A Herculean feat, if nothing else.
It's amazing. It's outrageous that you have such a terrible foundation and somehow you successfully save it.
Aren't you glad you watched that movie?
No. Yeah. It's incredible. So I have a lot of hope. I think having to be a co-CEO is what will rein him in.
Right. I think Peter Safran will hopefully be the... James Gunn's got a lot of ideas, but hopefully Peter Safran will be the voice of reason to say, okay, you got a lot of big ideas, but let's maybe dial it back and focus on making the most of what we've got here.
Yeah, I think they have a good dynamic. They got a good cop, bad cop situation. You know, one guy can eat all the shit while the other guy does all the hard stuff, you know.
Yeah.
I think it's a dynamic that should and could work. The only thing that makes me worry is just that they have to shovel out all of the shit that came in from the Snyderverse and all the stuff that's lingering years and years after the fact. All the lore that they have to somehow find a way to discard. You know, Henry Cavill's great, but like those terrible movies are all connected to him.
It's either you discard it or you got to do the Suicide Squad style turnaround. And
with one team, okay. When you have to do it for the entire Justice League, that's tough.
I think the hope
is
tough. It's going to be tough. The hope is that's what the Flash movie allows to happen.
Then why is there a Flash 2? Fastest Boogaloo.
Cocaine.
Nobody asked for Aquaman 2. They're still not. They removed Amber Heard. That movie's gonna be terrible. It's gonna be bad.
Just put
poor James Gunn. He has to figure out how to navigate these waters. He's gonna have to answer for all this shit he had nothing to do with.
Just make Ben Affleck read Amber Heard's lines.
And now a kiss. Like a bat. I dig it.
How do we save Atlantis?
Can you swim?
I've got a gadget for that.
I bet you do.
Got a gadget for everything.
Shark repellent.
I fucking dare them.
I mean, I admire James Gunn. I hope he's getting a big fucking paycheck to do this and deal with this, because that is not a job I would want. I would be like, listen, guys, you like tax write-offs, right? All of it.
Now, mind you,
all of it. Start from scratch.
This has just been announced. It might take some time for them to like really hit the ground running, and they're gonna need to hit the ground running as soon as like they actually take the reins of what those positions mean.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's important to note that, you know, just because you're a good director doesn't mean you'll necessarily be a great producer
or a good CEO.
Yeah. So, you know,
I mean,
there's still a lot to be proven.
Yeah.
And
time will tell ultimately. My heart goes out to anyone hoping for a DC turnaround.
Yeah. And
it's like you said, the light is darkest just before the dawn
of justice.
You know, son of a bitch. It's like you guys are still in the dark.
it's pitch black.
Ooh. Yeah, like it's real bad right now.
You brought James Gunn in to find the batteries for the flashlight, but there's no guarantee that those batteries have any charge left.
Right.
Yeah. I see what you're saying. It's concerning.
Yeah.
And it's weird because not only does he have to manage the release of all these Snyderverse related projects that are still ongoing, and obviously they brought Henry Cavill back. Now they have to commit to some other project, Superman versus Black Adam project.
Yeah.
Because of all this bullshit. He's got, basically 2 years worth of movies he's still got to answer for that are already more or less finished or in their final stretches of production.
Yeah. There's a lot that he's got to essentially juggle.
I think what makes it a little easier for him is the DC clarified that he won't have to do anything with the Joker 2, the sequel Folie à Deux. That'll be its own separate thing run by its separate people. And then he also won't have anything to do with these Matt Reeves, the Batman spin-offs, where he's making the Penguin series, he's making an Arkham Asylum series, and allegedly he's making a GCPD series based on that universe. So, which, again, if it's like TV shows, fine. But they're going to make a Batman 2. And I don't really want it because I want us to move on and stop confusing the audience and just start executing this next phase. But that next phase is going to take time to cast and film and produce and, edit and all that other stuff. So I imagine they're just going to push through this shitstorm for the next 2 years, maybe 3 years. And then they're going to start releasing the new phase, the new representation of DC movie and television. I hope it's good. I don't have high hopes because DC has fumbled a lot, but I think there's a chance. I think there's a better chance than there's been in the past 30 years for there to be a really significantly good DC representation out on the market.
Let's see if they don't squander it within like the next 3 months.
Well, that's all I have for DC. But I think it's time I gloat a little.
Really?
I really think it's time I gloat. Several episodes ago, you poo-pooed my prediction concept that Disney has a lot of money. Hugh Jackman famously said he won't play Wolverine again. I said, no, sir. No. He's got mouths to feed, and show tunes don't pay the bills. Disney will drop a safe full of cash on his desk and say star in Deadpool 3. And you know what? Literally a week later, it was announced through a viral tweet from Ryan Reynolds that Deadpool 3 will indeed star Hugh Jackman as Wolverine.
All of these weeks that have passed have felt like a fucking year. I entirely forgot that was something that we had talked about. It was like that was the last episode. They hadn't announced it then.
Yeah,
we're back now, and they announced it.
This is how I know they listen to the show. Thank you, Marvel.
Oh my god,
and all the folks over at Disney. We're kind of a big deal. So
I thought you were a man of your word, Hugh.
If you're not liking and subscribing, you definitely should.
Look, I know show tunes don't pay the bills. And for every decent movie outside of Marvel, you end up with something like Van Helsing. Okay, you're back. For how long? 5 minutes of this movie? Are you doing the whole thing? It definitely sounds like you're doing the whole thing.
I mean, they released the logo with his claws slashing Deadpool's face, so it has to be, right? They can't... I mean, this can't be an X-Force level, like, oh, this is a big deal, look at all these characters, and then they kill him in 5 seconds. Like,
you do realize how much they hyped up X-Force.
They didn't hype it this much, though. Also, Wolverine can't die, so they can't do this. You hate that I'm right, but you need to accept it. It's going to come out. It's going to be fantastic, and we're going to see huge jacked man return to his role.
I am going to laugh if he's only in the movie for 5 minutes.
I refuse to believe that will be the case.
I'm gonna laugh.
He's going to be the Cable of Deadpool 3. He's going to be the buddy cop that doesn't want to be the buddy cop.
He's gonna be the Murtaugh to Ryan Reynolds' Riggs.
Mm-hmm.
They're gonna it's Lethal Weapon. They're gonna Lethal Weapon this whole fucking thing.
Yep.
And you know what? Fine. Go ahead.
It's gonna be great.
Do it.
I love it. Thank you.
Let's see if you managed to maintain the R that was promised.
Yeah, when they were discussing how they worked this deal out, Kevin Feige was saying, this is something they've been pursuing for years, but because of all the issues with the rights with Fox, they couldn't work out something. And then when they were talking to Hugh Jackman about it, he was saying back when he filmed Logan, he hadn't seen Deadpool, and he didn't know how good it was, and so he really didn't have any interest in doing the character anymore because he thought it'd just be more of the same, and he thought Logan was a good way to send off the character and call it a day. Well, then Disney purchased everything, so this is a new company for him, new production, basically new legs, new life for the character to be done in a way he feels he wants to do again. I also found it kind of funny in some of the articles about it because he was talking about how his workout program was going so well to get jacked for the role again that he can't fit in his Broadway outfits anymore, and they keep having to make him new outfits for his Broadway stage production because he's too jacked to fit in his tights.
How old is Hugh Jackman?
He's on steroids, dude. Like,
I mean,
they're all
yes, of course he's juiced, but
huge jacked man. Let's find out how old he is.
That man was like in his 30s in like the first X-Men movie.
He is currently 54 years old. So he'll be around 55 years old once he finishes production.
What the fuck?
That's awesome, ain't it?
What the fuck?
Tom Brady's still playing quarterback in the NFL at 45. He can take some steroids and get buff.
Oh my god.
Why not?
I mean, hey, if you've got the money.
The Rock is 50 years old, so.
What the fuck?
Yeah. It's not natural.
What are these like jack dudes over 50 doing?
Testosterone replacement.
Oh, TRT.
Yes.
They're on TRT.
You can go to any health clinic right now and get TRT.
Oh my god.
I'm pretty sure they give 12-year-olds TRT.
Come out as unnatural right goddamn now.
I'm totally natty, bro.
If I hear one more video of people asking what your diet is and all you say is fucking chicken, rice, and broccoli,
yeah,
I will flip this goddamn table a third time in my mind.
Yeah, that's so frustrating, right? How just gross and just bold the lies are, and like these Hollywood and wrestling and all these things.
Like, oh, Hugh Jackman, you're in such good shape. What do you eat? It's like, oh, I eat chicken, I eat broccoli, I eat rice. It's like I just maintain the weight. Like sometimes I eat a slice of toast when I wake up in the middle of the night, and then I
like you're so
go back
full
to
of
sleep.
shit.
It's like, motherfucker,
you're right into the gills, man.
It's like you have a personal trainer shooting TRT into your butt cheeks. Just fucking say it.
It's okay. We all know.
We all get.
It's not a secret.
We're literally paying for the procedure.
Yeah, it's hilarious how.
Oh my god!
Just like, they think they're fooling everybody. I think honestly, it's because like back in the day, WWF, they not the World Wildlife Federation or whatever foundation.
It's like the wrestling one.
World Wrestling.
Yeah.
They got under a lot of scrutiny after several wrestlers had incidents. And they were attributing it to roid rage and stuff like that. Reality is probably just CTE.
Oh, yeah. Concussions do that.
But it created a big hullabaloo with the FDA and all these other organizations. Like, oh, you gotta start testing them for steroids. And I mean, it's not like real sport. It's not like they're
Right.
And most real sports are currently proliferated with steroids anyway. They just figure out where the P tests are going to be, and then they they take it in a way that they can avoid getting it detected. But I don't know why they just aren't upfront about it. Like
at least John Cena.
I do a little testosterone.
Yeah.
And I work out a lot with a private trainer.
At least John Cena had the good sense to, when asked, say, I can't really confirm that, but I can tell you if you tested me right now, you would not be able to tell one way or the other. It's like that. That's a tacit admission.
They know what they're doing.
They know exactly what they're doing.
It's not a secret. So
yeah,
why are we all playing pretend? Legality, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
Elsewhere in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, we got a first look at Ant-Man 3, Quantum Mania. What'd you think?
I find it funny everybody's calling him Spider-Man.
I think everybody's calling him, was it Lava Boy? And
just because someone found a picture that
because everything is drowned in CG, bad CG, just like that movie is.
It's starting to look
Lava
like
Girl and
Spy Kids 3D.
What is it called?
Shark Boy.
Shark Boy, yeah. It all came out after I was already grown, so I didn't give a fuck. But Shark Boy and Lava Girl, it looks like the characters in the set from that movie. Just slightly more polished with Paul Rudd.
Like it's a set. We know they're doing it in the volume. We get it.
Yeah, it looks interesting. I don't know if I'm down for any more of this MCU. I'm going to be honest. Like my patience is wearing thin.
You finally felt the fatigue.
I gave them 2 years worth of movies and TV shows to, get something going after Thanos was over. They haven't succeeded up to this point, and in fact they've produced worse and worse material as time has gone on. Like the last products they put out were She-Hulk and Love and Thunder.
There is one thing that's literally coming out tomorrow as of this recording, or maybe it even came out tonight.
Is it the Werewolf by Midnight?
No. Although, if you haven't seen Werewolf by Midnight, you should. It's fun.
All right, great.
Yeah. Black Panther, Wakanda Forever.
Yeah, there's a lot riding on that movie.
There's a lot.
An unfair amount of pressure.
An entirely unfair amount.
On that movie. And it's all because everything up to this movie has been mediocre to bad.
Right. For this movie to have to hopefully swoop in and save Marvel from themselves.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate, but yeah, it does kind of fall to this movie like if this movie does not do well, they may have to do some restructuring at Marvel.
They need to nail it. They desperately need to nail it. They delayed all their movies. This is later in the news, but they delayed all of their big releases coming up for next year into 2024 and 2025.
It's
because of directors leaving, writers failing to write anything. Just all sorts of chaos going on behind the scenes.
It's like we're all waiting to see how this movie does. And mind you, this is a movie with an Aztec underwater man
with footy wings.
With footy wings. Footy wings.
Who The Rock called out for not being buff enough.
Of course he did, because he feels like he earned it with all of the roids that he's taken.
Are you saying that Namor is a natty?
I think Namor might be all natural.
All right.
Which
explains why he's a little soft around the edges.
A little bit. Also, he's kind of revered as a king, or no, not as a king, a god in this movie.
Well, when you're a little pudgy, you float better. As we know, he's king of an underwater kingdom.
Yeah, when you're revered as a god and they're often offering up sacrifices to you, all of the sacrifices can tend to kind of like add extra pounds, as it were.
If they're calling him a god, doesn't that mean like the god butcher should have attacked him first? Also, was he at the orgy in Love and Thunder?
Don't connect this to that.
It's the same universe. He's a god.
Don't.
He gets an invite.
Okay, just because the people that follow him are calling him a god does not actually make him a god.
Then what makes everybody else a god? They had like what was it, like an emoji as a fucking god in Love and Thunder. They've ruined they've ruined the canon.
They've ruined the concept of what a god is. Sure, but
and an eternal for that matter.
And an eternal.
Apparently, you can be an eternal and still be deaf.
And a celestial. It's like, I'm going to judge you eventually.
But first, my TV dinner.
My TV dinner. In the meantime, have Harry Styles, I guess.
Yeah.
Aztec God King. That is what they're doing with Namor. I remember hearing that from like the second trailer. It was like, I'm trying to remember the name of the character that says it. M'Baku is telling like whoever's running Wakanda at the moment is like, they don't call him general or king. They call him Kukul Khan, feathered serpent god. It's like, you can't kill him. It's like, okay, you can't kill him. You've already eliminated the stakes of this movie.
A little bit.
A little bit. There's already talk of basically everybody in this movie getting upstaged potentially by Doctor Doom.
Wait, what? Where did he come into this?
It's being rumored that the entire conflict between Wakanda and whatever, I think they're calling it Talokan, the underwater people that serve under Namor, is all like an orchestrated plot by one Doctor Doom.
What? No! What are you doing?
Now, mind you,
tap the brakes.
This is also rumors like this are coming out during a phase of rumors not unlike what happened with WandaVision, where everybody was waiting for fucking Mephisto to show up.
Okay.
So
I guess we'll find out soon enough.
We're gonna find out soon enough. They might be completely unsubstantiated, but
boy,
they're rumors.
I hope they're wrong, because that's horrible. That gives. I hope that's not true. I hope that's not true. I desperately hope that that's not true. Because if that's the way they proceed, Fantastic Four, they might as well not make it.
Now, mind you, it's like, I don't want that to be true, but we're already going to be getting Ironheart in this movie randomly.
Fine. You know, I kind of get it. You know, she's technologically savvy, admires the technologically savvy nation. Okay.
See, I'm waiting to watch this movie, just hoping that they're going to basically do to Ironheart what they did to Ms. Marvel and completely change her backstory.
We'll see.
Well, yeah, we're gonna see.
We'll see. They haven't been great when they do that. Generally speaking, they tend to stumble and fall on their face when they totally change the backstory. I think Thor is probably the one exception.
Like making Ms. Marvel a mutant.
Well,
because we really we're never doing Inhumans again.
Yeah, it's concerning. We also got some footage of the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special that will be premiering on Disney Plus. Did you get a chance to see any of that?
Why is Kevin Bacon?
I love that he's in it. By the way, we would not be getting any of this Kevin Bacon content if he hadn't been totally defrauded. Because he was part of that whole Ponzi scheme when all that went down. He had a bunch of money invested with him.
Oh.
And all his money, his life legacy, all his royalties just went out the window overnight because this dude,
no.
Bernie Madoff, stole all his money.
Oh,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah. Yeah.
So now he's literally got to work until he dies.
Yeah, pretty much. That's the only reason we're getting all this Kevin Bacon content, which I'm happy about because he's a good actor and he's a scene stealer. He's got a very unique face that stands out and makes a unique character. But yeah, poor guy. That dude's working till the day he dies.
Yeah, he definitely seemed like he was trying to retire.
Yeah. Yeah. But hey, looks great in this role. Looks fun.
There's just one problem. Wasn't he already Sebastian Shaw in X-Men First Class?
Yeah, but those universes aren't connected. We know this.
I mean,
It's
we're
fine.
bringing over Deadpool, and it
It's
might
fine.
be a little connected.
It's fine.
And you say it's fine, but I don't know if it's fine.
Well, what you see with the multiverse and Kang and Loki going from here to here and doing this, and then Spider-Man changing the multiverse with his stupid wish with Doctor Strange, and we're good.
I'm going to flip the table a fourth time.
We already murdered Xavier. What more do you want?
If you're going to make this man have to act, could you at least give him a role where he's not just himself? Having to be chased by a space barbarian in order to be presented to a space doofus for the sake of being a gift to him because... Oh my God. It's because Peter Quill is a fan of Footloose, isn't it?
Yeah, I think this is like... The Guardians of the Galaxy are perfect for holiday specials because everything can just be Peter Quill introducing these Earth holidays and trying to force them to enjoy it, like with the Christmas sweaters and all this other stuff.
Wait a minute.
I love it.
He's introducing Christmas. Where's Jesus Christ?
Do you think he cares? We're having Santa, Space Santa, and you're gonna like it.
Okay, Space Santa, sure. Are we calling the Santimus? I mean, if we're saying...
That's exactly what the Marvel Universe needs right now. We need Peter Quill, the missionary to the universe, spreading the gospel.
If we're saying that Thor and the entire Norse pantheon, as well as Zeus and the entire Greek pantheon exist, where's Jesus?
That's fair, dog. That's fair. I think, if I'm not wrong, I think they alluded that Jesus was one of the Eternals. They make allusions to basically every religious figure being one of the Eternals.
Of all the things they could have connected him to, son of a bitch.
It's like that comic where Jesus fought Dracula. I still got to find that for the wall. By the way, if you're watching the YouTube channel, I made some adjustments. I fixed the off-centering of the wall. I added some additional soundproofing, so hopefully you notice in the audio quality as well. And rearranged everything a little bit with the comic covers we have posted. Of course, I used the New 52 DC Bombshell Girl variant covers that I really liked on the wall. But I'm actively going out and trying to complete the collection of the covers of the week that we've had up to this point, and then eventually I'll have these all replaced with the covers of the week, and then anything on the side I'll just use more frame comics that I love and enjoy. So
okay.
just a little teaser for future production here. And then we obviously added some lights and stuff. I'm gonna probably do some more with that in the near future, so you'll see some changes on the YouTube channel going forward. Hopefully you enjoy them. Let us know. Give us some feedback if there's anything else you'd like to see or any direction that you think you would enjoy. All right, back to the point at hand. Yeah, it's concerning that there seems to be no direction, and since they've opened the multiverse kind of Pandora's box, we're really losing track of what the fuck's going on and who's what where.
Yeah.
Which makes it all the more like silly that Steve Rogers is still dead, and
yeah.
like, why are all these characters still dead if like we're getting multiple versions of everybody from every universe and canon? Reasons.
Also hearing potential reports of Robert Downey Jr. returning,
which they're probably like, fuck, we should have paid him. This is not going as well as we predicted.
Turns
out people don't like their favorite characters being killed off and replaced with different, less interesting characters and versions of the characters in some weird, obnoxious comedy skit movie / TV series. Maybe we shouldn't do that.
Maybe.
But we'll see.
Maybe we should get people who have written a law show before to write a law show.
And maybe not contribute 9 episodes when you have no idea what the show's about.
Yeah.
This isn't Seinfeld. This isn't a show about nothing.
They wanted it to be a show about nothing. They desperately wanted that to be superhero Seinfeld.
Anyway, speaking of dysfunction with Marvel, one that very literally hits close to home. The Blade production has been shut down.
Oh, right. Yes, for those of you who are unaware, we are coming to you from Columbus, Ohio, which is very close to where they were going to start production for the Blade movie, which would have been Cleveland, Ohio.
And Emery and I were answering casting calls for it. See if we could get our goofy asses in there.
Yeah, find our way into a Marvel movie.
Mediocre.
Speaking of mediocre, apparently the reason or potential reasons why production's been halted is because, well, the director left and the star of the movie, Mahershala Ali, have been making complaints about the script being mediocre.
Now, here at Hit the Books Podcast, obviously we're big fans of mediocre. But in this case, not so much.
Absolutely not.
It was kind of funny how it happened because my wife found the posting for, asking for actors and extras to come and commit to this like portion of November to come and do some stuff on set. And I sent it to you, and obviously we applied for it, and then literally the next day the director Bassam Tariq walked off the set and said, "I'm done. I'm not doing this." And they were literally like less than a month away from starting production. And the guy shuts it all down. So now Marvel's scrambling to find somebody to replace him. They've canceled basically the production dates, and assuming it's still in Cleveland, we'll still try to sneak in there somehow. But it doesn't look good.
If anything needs to be canceled or redone, apparently it's the script.
Yeah. Well, as you alluded to, the primary actor playing Blade was saying that there's in the entire script 2 fight scenes, and they're not particularly good or long ones.
What do you come to a Blade movie for?
We're going to make this long series about a vampire slayer and have 2 fight scenes in the entire show.
Are you kidding me? Are you joking? Are you out of your mind? if you want to have any chance, any shot to be considered as good or better, dare I say, than any of the Blade movies where we had Wesley Snipes, the one person which most people have been asking and clamoring for this whole time.
Yeah.
You had better do more than 2 lackluster action scenes.
Yeah.
Like, that movie, the very first Blade movie, opens with the fucking action scene. An action scene that hits so goddamn hard, it influenced the style of several movies unconnected to it afterwards.
Yeah, absolutely.
We do not have The Matrix with its aesthetic without Blade. We do not have X-Men with its aesthetic without Blade.
Which you have a lot of complaints about.
Yeah. It's like, if X-Men was going to copy anyone, it shouldn't have been Blade. But everyone liked it. Everyone was on board because the heroes all wearing black was like a cool thing at the time. That's because Blade hit so goddamn hard, it made wearing all black look fucking cool.
Yeah, no doubt. Which is weird, by the way. They kind of took a risk doing that, because in the comics, Blade is not, like, decked out in just black leather all the time.
Oh, no.
Blade is usually depicted with, like, a red outfit. And it's
like
very over the top.
It's like reds and greens, weirdly.
Yeah.
They actually make a reference to it in, like, the intro montage of Blade 2. You actually get to see, like, the young kid version of Blade wearing, like, the comics accurate like outfit.
I haven't watched those movies in so long. And usually when I watch those movies, it was on, like, TV.
Yeah.
Like TBS or something, TNT.
Oh, yeah.
That's generally how I watched it. So, of course, those are edited for time and, like, ratings, so...
Yeah.
It's been a while. It's been a hot minute.
Yeah.
Of course, our series, comic movie master list, needs to make a return.
Soon.
And if it does, obviously, we'll have to get to those movies.
Yeah.
I think we ended in the late 70s, so we're moving into the 80s. I think Superman might be the next movie.
Yeah, there are some other movies we got to go through, including, like, the 70s Doctor Strange, which... Oh, buddy.
Yeah. I don't think it can get any weirder than what we did, though, with that last Wonder Woman movie we reviewed. If you have not watched our series Comic Movie Master List, they are so ridiculous and fun. I highly recommend you watch the movie we're talking about and then join us for the discussion, because some of the shit is outrageous.
It's hysterical.
And then some stuff is, like, sneaky good, like Tales from the Crypt, the first one.
Yeah.
That was not one I expected to be great, but it was great.
It weirdly held up.
Yeah. It was totally good.
Yeah, but Wonder Woman movie with a weird blonde Wonder Woman doing a secret agent thing.
Yeah.
And her villain is Ricardo Montalban for some reason.
Delightful.
Yeah, it was wacky. It was goofy. Go watch it.
For all the wrong reasons.
For all of the wrong reasons. There was no good reason to watch that movie.
Yep.
Going back, Blade. You know it's bad when both the director and the star of the movie are saying, yeah, no, we're not doing this.
Yeah, that's a big problem.
That's a real big problem.
And these are problems you don't typically experience with Marvel. Disney's interpretation of Marvel has never really had this. So it's extremely concerning that you're bringing on this new talent, directors, producers, writers, obviously actors, actresses, and they're walking off set and canceling projects weeks before they start production.
It's almost like Feige might be spread too thin, and
could be,
and they may not have ever actually planned to do Blade. But Mahershala Ali said he wanted to be in a Marvel movie, and he said, like, I want to be Blade, and it's like, oh yeah, sure, we'll make something work. Give us some time.
Yeah,
and finally getting around to doing it, and lo and behold, it's written poorly. And this is all under the sort of Damocles that I like to call the PG-13 rating.
Oh.
And if there's one thing that you really shouldn't do with Blade, it's make him PG-13.
You know what vampires are, right? Disney, are you listening? If you can do an R-rated Deadpool,
You can do an R-rated Blade.
yes. So that's concerning. A lot of interesting stuff there. Hopefully they come back, make the production, because A, Blade's an awesome character, and I want to see Blade.
Yeah.
And B, we might have a chance to sneak into the production. So
Hey, let's go.
they don't film in Ohio that much.
No.
Help us out.
Come on, man.
Next up on the news, Marvel is reportedly turning Armor Wars into a movie. So it was originally slated as a TV series for Disney Plus, a 6-episode TV series. And they have decided, for whatever reason, that it's going to be a movie now. This could be one of two things. A, it was so good, and they're so happy with it, that this deserves a movie release and production status. That's what I hope. B, it's so bad and they had so little content that they realized they don't have 6 episodes worth of content or story for this. Let's just make it a movie and call it a day. I don't know which it is. There's
Neither do I. I don't think anything about Armor Wars has come to light. Like, not even a little bit.
But recent history has really made me concerned that this is probably a ticking time bomb.
Yeah, we're gonna see. As soon as they release literally anything having to do with the movie, because right now I think the public at large is in the dark with what this movie is going to be about, outside of it being a War Machine movie, which also begs the question, why didn't we just call this War Machine?
Because Ironheart's going to be in it.
Mother...
You know it's true.
Son of a bitch. I can't believe you've done this. I'm gonna reserve judgment. Gonna reserve judgment until I see some footage from this movie.
Could be great.
Could be terrible.
Could be terrible. Could absolutely be terrible.
Time will tell.
Hey, maybe Robert Downey Jr. comes back and saves the movie. That's their secret cameo.
Cross your fingers. Iron Man from another timeline.
Yeah. Maybe they'll get the dick bag timeline of Robert Downey Jr. coming in with his infinity suit, with the nanocells and everything. They already did the nanocells, but the true white Iron Man suit.
Oh, you mean Superior Iron Man?
That's the one.
Yeah. Where you know that was part symbiote, right?
Wow. That's real dumb. Never mind. I take it all back.
I mean, it's cool looking.
Looks fresh as fuck.
It does.
By the way, my totally unrelated.
Mm-hmm.
Gotta mention it. I'm a huge Bengals fan. Cincinnati Bengals, NFL team. My son was born right before the Thursday night Bengals game in Cincinnati on Prime Time.
Oh.
On Amazon Prime. So Prime on Prime Action, where they debuted the White Tiger helmets in uniforms. They painted the field with the white tiger stripes instead of the orange. They they colored the logo with the black and white stripes. Looked dope as fuck. And then they asked everybody attending the game to participate in the whiteout. And so everybody came in white jerseys, white outfits, with Bengals. It was convenient because their Super Bowl uniforms from last year were white with the Bengals logo on it and the Super Bowl 56 logo on the other side. So it looked awesome. And I got to sit there with my recently very hours old son
and
and watch the Bengals game on prime time win in this newly debuted uniform, and it was dope as fuck. And if anybody who cares is listening, I'm trying to get a White Tiger Bengals helmet and get it signed by everybody that was on the staff and the team that night to sign it at some point. So that's my new life project, so that I can give it to my son on his 18th birthday and be like, the day you were born, this happened.
Shout out to the Cincinnati Bengals. If any of you knows, or if you are someone who plays for the Cincinnati Bengals team and you're listening,
and you're not. Let's be clear. You're not.
Hey,
but
hey, the
obviously the people at Marvel are listening.
Yeah,
so.
the internet is a weird, wide place. You never know.
So just putting that out in the ether. Yeah, if you want to help me find some players to sign a white Bengals helmet, I'll pay for it.
Oh,
but I want to put this project together, give it to my son on his 18th birthday. It was an awesome experience. I just say that. As a fan,
you heard it here, folks.
And who knows? Maybe he'll play for the Bengals one day.
Who knows?
You never know. Probably not.
Yeah, we'll see. See.
He can be a kicker. You can do that when you're 5'10". So.
Oh dang! Yeah, dude, he might need to outgrow you.
But yeah, fortunately, his mom's 5'2", so we'll see.
Oh,
good luck, kid.
Yeah,
I'm rooting for you.
Roll the dice.
I'm also concerned about his brain a little bit. So kicker sounds good.
Yeah,
punter maybe. That's all right.
Yeah, no.
As long as you're not taking those hits every down.
Ooh,
protect the brain.
Not a linebacker.
All right.
Yeah.
Next up on the news, we've finished with our Marvel segment here. The Simpsons has premiering a Death Note parody for its Halloween special this year, and it looks awesome. Have you seen that?
I saw it, but why?
It's fun. It's cool.
Death Note. Do you mean to tell me that after drawing The Simpsons in a particular art style this whole time that we're just going to show that we can do a different art style and do it actually pretty well, and we're just going to let that genie out of the bottle and hope that no one complains when we put it back in?
Well, it's not like they haven't done it before. Like this is pretty common with animated sitcoms. Family Guy does it a lot, where they change the art style. South Park, when they were making fun of Family Guy,
yeah,
they put Bart Simpson in the Peter Griffin.
It seems like a lure for people who are into anime to finally watch another fucking Simpsons episode.
Well, it looks cool, and I know a lot of people have given up on the Simpsons a long time ago. Like, I mean, it's kind of impressive that they're somehow still going, which makes me wonder, like, is there just nothing else to watch on Fox? Probably.
Yeah, probably.
But I thought it looked really cool. It's Halloween special of Hit the Books podcast. Why not mention it? So, Treehouse of Horrors.
I
don't know which number it is because they're like 58 seasons in. So
good fucking god.
I don't.
Too many.
I'm just guessing, but yeah, it's a lot of seasons.
Just bring back Futurama, for the love of God.
For the 6th time.
Yes, for the 7th if we need it.
I love Futurama. I'm with you on this, almost 100%. However, the last time they ended the series, they ended it so perfectly. I kind of don't want it to come back. I'm kind of happy where they left it.
I want them to do something that isn't Disenchantment.
That's fair. They are bringing King of the Hill back, and they did bring Beavis and Butthead back. So there is other content out there.
So you're saying there's a chance?
There's a chance. There's definitely a chance.
Okay.
I just kind of wish there wasn't on this particular one, as much as I love Futurama.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah. You don't have to agree with me, by the way. It's just how I feel.
I'm done with them.
Next up on the news, we got some concept art and a new reveal for the Prime Video's Fallout project, of course, based on the Fallout video games. Have you seen this?
I have. And, I don't know how I feel about it. I really don't know how I feel about it because I feel like there's already a show that's kind of doing this called The Last of Us.
Is that on HBO Max?
It's on
so,
HBO Max.
So they just need a competitor. They need a dystopian competitor.
Fucking apparently. Like the entire conceit of the Fallout games is that you go and experience the post-apocalypse, the post-nuclear apocalypse in whatever direction and at whatever speed you want.
Yeah.
In a weirdly maintained in the 50s aesthetic.
Yeah, I think this is going to be the part that's most interesting to see how they adapt it to a live action series.
Right.
How are they going to find that balance between like the comedic element of Fallout and
because it's very comedic
and the serious nature of the content itself, you know?
Right.
Fallout is not meant to be taken seriously. It's very tongue in cheek, like goofy, over the top. You know,
right. It's like all of that is just a backdrop as a dark reflection of, shit that exists nowadays.
Yeah, but the subject material itself is very dark and very, like, kind of terrifying, which is why it's such a unique property and works so well.
Yeah.
I don't know how you adapt that into a series.
I mean...
And,
the thing that I think I'm going to end up drawing parallels with is... The Last of Us has clickers. The Fallout series has ghouls.
Mm-hmm.
Like, are we just going to do a series where someone has to brave going out into the post-apocalypse in search of something that might help, the human race get back on its feet in the midst of, trying to dodge and outwit all of these mindless creatures that try to get them at every turn? Did I or did I not just describe both of these shows at the same time?
Yeah, I think the big differentiator is that Fallout is not really about a specific character. There's not really significant character development or growth to any extent, whereas Last of Us is entirely about character development and growth amongst like deep storytelling.
Right. It's almost like the conceit of a Bethesda game is that you are the main character. Like, in the truest sense, you are the one that makes all of the fucking decisions. They're now going to have to completely come up with a character from scratch that no one's really going to have any connection to.
Yeah. It's intriguing.
This is going to be wild. If nothing else, they're completely free to do whatever the fuck they want with the main character because, I mean, the main character can make whatever fucking choice either you would make or you wouldn't make.
Well, have you seen these Netflix shows where they have kind of your pick your own adventure style show?
No, I haven't.
So Black Mirror did one. I can't remember what it's called, but it's a specific like side movie / episode of Black Mirror. It's not tied to the actual show on the app.
Yeah.
Where you basically pick your own adventure in the storytelling. And then there's a lot of Man vs. Wild with Bear Grylls where it's like select your own adventure and it's basically a game.
Yeah.
It's
like an interactive movie.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's interesting. I don't think it's for everybody. I did the Bear Grylls, a few of the Bear Grylls ones, and I'm like, this is fun for what it is, I guess. But it's, it's a way to burn a half hour.
It sounds like a David Cage video game.
It's not that tedious, but it's very like, cut and dry. Like, here's the most basic of basic stories. Now follow it. I think it's
go this way or this way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, do you cage him or do you run away from him? Do you throw meat at him or do you, eat your shoes? I don't know. Just stupid stuff.
Do you drink your own pee again?
You just keep repeating it, making Bear Grylls drink his own piss.
I'm out of any other options. I have to drink my own pee.
I don't think he's Australian.
I'm sorry. I went
still on Huge Jackman.
I'm still on Huge Jackman, but I in my mind,
playing Bear Grylls.
I was thinking Steve Irwin. May he rest in peace.
Oh, man.
It's like, oh, yeah, he's a weird outdoor nature survivalist. Because if you can survive Australia's nature, you can survive anything.
I would assume. I don't know how much more there is out there. Maybe the Arctic. I don't know.
Yes, if you can survive.
The only thing trying to kill you in the Arctic is weather.
Yeah, the cold.
Australia, you get weather and everything else.
And everything else. Oh, I'm still remembering that unfortunate moment in which Australia just caught fire. Just as a nation. It just...
Yeah. It's like California. Just, why not?
Yeah,
light a match.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
It's all on fire. We can't stop it. Just let it burn.
It's just dry as hell out here. And those koalas are freaking me out.
we had to burn the disease off them.
Oh.
Get rid of the herpes or whatever they have.
Oh, and they cry like human children.
Oh, yikes. Oh, that's terrifying.
It's cringe in like a way that you can only feel deep down in your fucking soul.
You mean down under?
No! We love you, Australia. We love you very much in hope that you never catch fire again.
I agree with this sentiment. Try not to burn down again.
Please.
However, if you want to kill some of those critters by burning them, it's probably best.
Off screen. I don't want to hear it.
Koalas are probably okay.
Yeah, koalas are
talking about like these snakes and spiders and little stinging fish that'll kill you in 10 seconds.
Oh, so you're not talking about the overwhelming emu war that they lost back in the 1800s.
Oh, and the kangaroos that deck you on the chin.
And try to drown your dog.
Yeah. Delightful creatures.
Why are they so jacked?
TRT.
Oh, no.
They're packing in that pouch, man.
Oh, no. Yeah, if you can survive there, you can survive anywhere.
Yep. What a place. Next up on the news. For you Whovians, Doctor Who has found a new home. It's going to Disney Plus.
Wait, what?
Yes.
But why?
And it's not the only weird thing going to Disney Plus. So is the new sequel to Bleach. Bleach 1000 Years War is also coming to Disney Plus.
Are they just buying these?
I don't know.
What is happening?
I don't know. And what's weird is like stuff that's on Netflix here in the US is on Disney Plus elsewhere.
Right.
Which is, again, like, what is going on with the rights sharing here?
It's like, is this just like, oh, we're purchasing space on your app for people to play this? I guess. Like, what? How? Yeah. I mean, this is like, if there was like a property that was literally too British for the rest of the world, I would think it's Doctor Who.
Yeah, it's a weird place to put it. And I mean, Doctor Who has been on Netflix for as long as I can remember.
Right.
Which makes it double weird.
Right. Like there's an app that already has your show.
Yeah. It's just strange. And then to top the strangeness off, for the first time ever, the new Doctor Who is an old Doctor Who.
Oh, no. Is it Tennant again?
It is Tennant again.
Oh my god!
He is going to be the new Doctor Who. Again. Which is kind of awesome, but also kind of weird because they've never done this ever. And I don't know what to feel or think about this.
I don't like it. I don't like it.
Are you a Whovian? Do you watch Doctor Who?
Yeah, I watched Christopher Eccleston, number 9, Tennant, number 10, Matt Smith, number 11. I watched a a little bit of what's his name? The older gentleman, the number 12.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah,
I can picture him. I can't think of his name,
yeah,
though.
the guy who played the Thinker in the Suicide Squad.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
Then they had the female Doctor Who,
Yeah.
which is the most recent iteration that just got
Yeah.
regenerated.
Jodie Whittaker.
Yep. Back to David Tennant.
Back to David Tennant. It's like
I believe
you're skipping 3 other doctors to go back to him.
Yeah, it's interesting, right?
Like what the?
I assume he's the most popular one, right? I mean, maybe Smith, but
okay,
I feel like
not 3. It was 2 doctors. It was Peter. What is his name?
we'll flash it on the screen.
Yeah, flash it on the screen. You know the one. Like you're bypassing number 12 and number 11 to go all the way back to 10.
Yeah.
Is this because the ratings were really low?
Probably. I haven't
could-
heard great things about the
Pe-
most recent
yeah.
iteration of Doctor Who.
People couldn't get on board with Whittaker. That is unfortunate.
Yeah. I have watched very little Doctor Who.
Yeah.
I watched some of the Smith series, and then I watched a little bit of the Tennant series. From what I've seen, Capaldi, yeah,
Peter Capaldi. That's
Yep.
right.
Nailed it.
Yep. Took me a minute.
Mediocre. Yeah, but I feel like if you need to get like fan hype up again, especially if you're going to somewhere like Disney Plus where they're spending probably big bucks to get you, I would imagine they're like, all right, we got to get some fanfare going.
Go with
She-
the doctor,
she-
I
she
guess.
tried her hardest, and some people like her, but for whatever reason, the audience won't accept her as Doctor Who. We gotta do something to kind of shock the fans and do something unprecedented, which is what they did, And
I mean,
I suspect that the Peter Capaldi version was also getting long in the tooth, which is why they did something so dramatic as changing Doctor Who to a female.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think it makes sense from a
I was
business.
pretty sure that there was supposed to be a black Doctor Who next.
Yeah, it was rumored. Just
Yeah.
like James Bond was, they're rumoring that James Bond was
Yeah.
going to be black in the next iteration as well.
Yeah, they're still
Yeah.
trying to make it make sense, I guess.
We'll see. I mean,
Yeah.
they could
Yeah.
nail it, and I think
they could.
a lot of it comes down to, was the actress charismatic enough for the character?
Right.
I think probably the answer is probably no. And that's more why that character failed, more than anything else, more than, changing the gender of the character. It's
like
probably because the actress and the people producing the show didn't do a good job of making that Doctor Who unique.
Or like pop and stand out on their own.
Yeah, I mean, all the recent Doctor Who's, excluding her, have really stood out, and I know that's true because I see the memes everywhere. Like Tennant, Capaldi, Smith, all of these actors who portrayed Doctor Who have a really unique look. This most recent one, she just looks like the most generic white woman of all time. Like, all the previous Doctor Who's look really unique. They look a little weird, not like in an ugly way, but they look unique, like uniquely British and weird looking.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a look that you look at that guy and you're like, okay, yeah, he's kind of spindly. He's got long square features, rectangular features.
Yeah.
Almost exaggerated. You're like, oh, that's clearly like a British person.
Yeah, I think the thing with Jodie Whittaker is that they made her seem oddly plain.
Yeah, extremely plain.
Yeah.
I think that played into it probably. I can't speak for the audience. I'm not a huge Whovian or anything. I've watched a little bit of it, but I've never gone deep into it. And I'm obviously not a person who lives in the UK where the fandom is most pervasive and strongest. So I can't speak for everybody, but I assume it's just because she wasn't particularly good at the role.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if nothing else, It speaks volumes that they're going all the way back to Tenet.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that works out.
Yeah.
On Disney Plus?
All weird.
I still
All
don't
weird.
get that.
Yeah. Next up on the news, Brendan Fraser has alluded that he would be open to doing another Mummy movie. To which I say, don't. Brendan, this revival is great. I'm very happy for you. Keep it going. Don't do another Mummy movie.
Not unless you get all the way back into shape and somehow rope Rachel Weisz.
Yeah, you have to have the original love interest. You can't replace her like you did with the third movie.
one. Yeah, no.
That was so bad.
Like, no hate against Maria Bello, but
It doesn't work.
she's not Rachel Weisz.
No. So, just thought that was interesting. Thought I'd throw that in the news. Cautionary tale, if anything.
Yep. Also a person who came back from losing all their money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Obviously, apparently, because of his allegations of assault, not unlike Cyborg's actor,
Mm-hmm.
he got kind of blacklisted in Hollywood
Yeah.
until very recently. So, interesting.
Yeah.
Kinda gross.
Interesting indeed.
We love Brendan Fraser.
We do.
We must protect him at all costs, including from himself.
And a fourth movie that might be bad. Look.
He already did Batgirl.
We're
Let's pretend it didn't happen.
WB
WB
trying.
is.
We're actively trying to pretend it didn't happen.
Also, while I was out, the Super Mario movie debuted its new trailer.
It did.
What did you think?
It's a Mario. Is what I thought was going to be a joke by Chris Pratt, only for him to reveal something closer to the original voice actor. But I don't think it was a joke. I think he's really just gonna do his regular fucking voice.
It's me and Mario. What's up?
He's gonna sound vaguely like he's from Brooklyn or something.
Yeah. I thought it looked good. I was really encouraged by the trailer.
It's very pretty. I will give it that. It's very pretty.
Yeah, it's incredibly pretty.
But when you're titled...
It's like Pixar level pretty.
But yes,
This
exactly.
This isn't some DreamWorks bullshit.
Absolutely not. Thank God for that. But when your main character sounds like your regular fucking dude, as opposed to the voice that we've been so accustomed to this whole time for decades. What the fuck are you doing? And what's even worse is that the original voice actor for Mario is in the movie.
Is he really?
Yeah.
Doing what?
Nobody fucking knows.
What? It has to be like a cameo, like a Sonic type thing.
Oh, it's got to be a cameo of some kind.
Yeah.
But God damn it, if this wasn't the single most anxiety-inducing announcement that I've ever seen in my life.
That's nuts.
Like,
I didn't have any idea that they were using the original voice actor in the side.
Yeah, yes. I think his name is Charles Martinet. And I think another voice actor went off on Twitter chastising this movie for not using Charles Martinet as the voice of Mario when he's literally right fucking there.
And to play devil's advocate, because that's all I do anymore. I'm always playing devil's advocate, because I am the devil.
When you've got no kingdom to stand in, you will threaten the kingdoms of others, even if it's the fucking Mushroom Kingdom.
I'll bring those walls down, baby. Yeah, I think it's a much bigger production than I ever gave it any credit for. It's clear that like the budget is there, the animation quality and consistency is there, at least in that trailer. Maybe they just polished it up real nice because it's a trailer, but the soundtrack sounded good. Like the audio quality was really good, the visual quality was really good. I don't think that the original Mario voice would be bearable for an hour 45 minutes, 2-hour movie. I think you would want to blow your brains out hearing that voice for 2 hours. And I think that's probably why they made the decision to use somebody else. Now, did it need to be Chris Pratt? Did they need to blow all that money for Chris Pratt, who is not a voice actor, who is just an actor? Probably not. But I understand why they went that direction.
Keegan-Michael Key is playing Toad. This was something that I completely forgot about when I watched the video.
Did it weird you out when you heard him?
It didn't weird me out. And I'll tell you why. It's because when I heard Toad, I heard Toad. I didn't hear Keegan-Michael Key. When I heard Mario, I heard Chris fucking Pratt.
Now, that being said, I haven't played a Mario game in many years. Has Toad ever talked? Has there ever been like an iconic Toad voice? I don't think so.
There have been like maybe not a stable voice, but there have been several people who have done something pretty close to what Keegan-Michael Key did over the last like couple decades. Whenever you've heard Toad say anything, he kind of sounded like that.
All right. Well, I'll take your word for it.
Like when I heard Keegan-Michael Key sound like Toad, I, in my mind, was transported all the way back to the 90s cartoon.
Man, you're really dating yourself, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm a little old.
Yeah. That cartoon is terrible, by the way.
It was terrible.
It's real bad.
But when you, as an actor, remind me without like completely dousing it in your own fucking sound of a sound that for me personally is unmistakably Toad, you're doing something right. When the first thing I think of when I hear your fucking voice is, oh, this isn't this character, it's just this fucking actor again, Chris Pratt.
I obviously we can't do this now, but I would be really curious if in some magical world we could like erase your memory of it. Do you have any idea that Chris Pratt is even in it, and that there's any kind of professional acting talent doing the voiceovers in this movie? And then you watch that trailer again from scratch. I wonder if your reaction would be the same. Or if you just have a general distaste for Chris Pratt after Guardians of the Galaxy 2.
I don't have a general distaste for Chris Pratt after Guardians of the Galaxy 2. I have a general distaste for Chris Pratt after Jurassic World Dominion.
I love how such an inconsequential movie has hurt you so much.
Can we all just do this now to Raptors?
I tried last episode.
Oh, did you?
I did.
How do you still have your hand?
Well, I guess it did work.
Son of a bitch.
Clever girl.
You motherfucker.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I'm encouraged. I expected nothing out of this trailer, and I was pleasantly surprised in a lot of ways.
Okay, here's the thing that's going to be the deal maker or the deal breaker. It's Luigi.
Who's the voice actor for Luigi?
Charlie Day.
It's concerning. I feel like whoever casted for this movie just took like every funny sitcom and took their favorite person from that funny sitcom and said, "You're in this movie now." Always Sunny.
It's Always Sunny. Parks and Rec.
Yeah.
The Key and Peele. Tenacious D because we
Jack
got
Black is in it,
yeah, because Jack Black is Bowser.
Yeah, honestly, of all the voices I heard in that trailer, I thought Jack Black's was the worst. Honestly,
his I thought was the most impressive.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're in totally different worlds then as far as our interpretations.
Apparently.
Now, to be fair, I love Jack Black. I love Tenacious D. Love just about everything he does. But you know who Jack Black is. Like, no, we're not hiding anything. And I feel like in that voiceover, I was like, oh, okay. That's not quite what I was hoping for, but whatever. I don't care about Mario that much. I don't give a fuck.
I'm
They
just
still
saying.
don't have blast processing, bitch.
Sega does what Nintendo don't, which apparently includes making good movies.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because honestly, Nintendo with this Mario movie is doing what Sonic should have done originally, which is just make a CG fun movie with a big budget.
True.
Instead, they tried to force Sonic into this like live action world, which somehow worked.
Against literally all odds.
Super enjoyable, good movies.
Yeah.
But that was totally the wrong direction. They obviously they fucked up the whole process with the CG and making this weird demon Sonic and all this other stuff. But they saved it.
They saved it. They fixed it. It did so well that we got a sequel.
Probably getting
that
another
also one. Did so well that we're getting at least a sequel and a TV series.
I love it. I love it. And I have high hopes for this. I think it'll be enjoyable. I think kids will love it. It'll probably sell some video games. And hopefully Nintendo releases a decent system by then.
Cross your fucking fingers.
20 years outdated at that point.
That maybe doesn't rely so heavily on trying to be both mobile and home at the same time.
You can get a free tablet right now from any network provider
that
is more powerful than the Nintendo Switch.
And costs less?
Yeah, significantly less.
Oh my god.
It's insane what Nintendo is doing.
Insanity. But people keep paying it.
I get it.
It's
a cult.
People keep shelling out the money.
It's like Apple, but worse.
Oh.
It's just a cult. It's a
is.
cult following. You're never going to purge it. It's just always going to be there. Cult status.
They never have to innovate ever.
All right. This is the last movie/TV item of the news. We are getting a lot of Silent Hill reveals. Most notably, a return to Silent Hill, the new movie, confirmed using the original director. Now, I don't know if you've seen the original Silent Hill movie. It's not great. It's not downright bad, because there is some visual elements that are pretty cool, but that's just the Silent Hill franchise in general.
It's not as bad as the second one.
Well, we're going to have a second one, and here it is. Return to Silent Hill, the movie.
This would be the third one.
Is there three?
There is Silent Hill and Silent Hill Revelations. Which weirdly...
Which one is this one a sequel to, then?
That's a really good question.
We'd previously heard about plans for a new movie from director Christoph Gans, who also directed the original Silent Hill in 2006. Okay, so this is a sequel to the original one. I wasn't aware of Revelations.
I think
the original Silent Hill earned a 5 out of 10 review from IGN. It's not good.
No.
You know what other movie isn't good but is getting a sequel for no reason whatsoever? Constantine.
That's a tax write-off. That's a tax write-off.
It's James Gunn, if you're listening right now, axe it. We don't need it. Stop.
Actually, you know what? Recast. What's Matt Ryan doing?
Nothing. He has a lot of free time. Let's bring him in for a conversation.
Yeah.
Just a conversation. Just a friendly conversation.
Yeah. It's almost like he was a really good Constantine.
#save Constantine.
#save Constantine.
Just not that one.
Not like this. Not like this.
But yeah, just wanted to allude to that so we can transition into our video game news. So, of course, as you all know, new segment process, moving into video game news. First up, Silent Hill. We got a lot of Silent Hill reveals.
We did.
Including a remake of Silent Hill 2, which is pretty good. I don't know if it's regarded as the best one, but it's really good. I think 1 and 2 are kind of always in contention.
Yeah. Typically, when people think of Silent Hill, they're usually thinking of Silent Hill 2. Because of the Pyramid Head.
It's true. And then we're also getting a brand new Silent Hill title, which a lot of people thought was dead.
I mean, we thought Konami was dead.
So we will see how this turns out. I'm very excited for the remake remaster of 2 because I really enjoyed that game.
Yeah, the first one, that one was on PlayStation with the very like close-up draw distance because we couldn't really animate a full 3D environment and, actually be able to see very far.
Which actually made it a better game, like a scarier game.
It actually added to the atmosphere doing that. That was a blessing in disguise.
Yeah.
Silent Hill 2 is that's the one with a bunch of memes behind it, specifically with the lead character, James Sunderland, just looking in the mirror and touching his face.
So I'm excited for that. I guess the one I'm remembering is the original one, so I guess the first one is the best one. So why are they doing 2? I don't know.
Probably because
I definitely played them all. I played 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah, 2 is the one where you realize that the main character is just a very, very guilt-ridden man.
Well, that's kind of the theme of every Silent Hill game.
I don't remember. Yeah, but his guilt is a little different. His guilt is a little more deserved.
Yeah, I think
depending on how you look at it.
Basically, all of them, the main character killed somebody. That's basically the final result of every Silent Hill game. Is that the main character did something horrendous to their wife or family or etc.
Yeah. Number 2 is specifically the wife.
Yeah. So we'll see. Yeah, obviously, like PT was the big thing where they had Kojima directing with Guillermo del Toro and trying to create this unique new interpretation of Silent Hill
with Kojima at the helm.
Yeah, and it's
Kojima, Guillermo del Toro, and Norman fucking Reedus.
So it's interesting to see how they handle this new interpretation because it almost certainly isn't PT.
Oh, absolutely not.
Almost certainly not going to be handled the way PT was anticipating being handled.
I'm almost certain that this game is getting a remake because, well, there was news of Resident Evil 4 being remade, and I mean, the main character of 2 looks like what people would draw if they were trying to draw Leon by memory.
That's fair, dog.
It's like vaguely similar. It's like, do I get?
Yeah.
I'll go with this one.
Medium length hair, white guy, brunette. Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah. Basic leather jacket.
Yeah. Yeah, well...
Alan Wake's the same way. Yeah.
Oh, God.
Alan Wake's the same character. Just for Xbox.
Medium-length hair, white man.
Yeah, generic medium-length hair, white dude. There you go.
Like,
Enjoy. Generic horror white dude.
I don't know what's going on, but I gotta get to the bottom of it. Like, why? Why not just leave?
Speaking of generic, there is a movie topic I missed that is very important we need to go back to.
Mm-hmm.
James Earl Jones signed off on his AI distributed voice acting. So from now on, he will no longer be portraying characters like Darth Vader. An AI system will be acting in his place.
Will he be getting paid every time it does?
Apparently. So it's unclear if they paid him a lump sum or if he's getting like royalties every time it's used.
I hope it's royalties.
But that is the best gig of all time.
I hope
have a robot do your job for you and get paid to let it do it for you.
Hey, if you can,
that's amazing.
If you can actively monetize your voice in such a way where, oh, they have the file of what my voice would sound like if I were to say anything. Sure, I'll retire right now.
It's also kind of creepy though.
Yeah, not only is it creepy, there is definitely a concern when it comes to acting is that there's more to it than how your voice sounds. There's how a person portrays feeling something is so abstract and ethereal. I don't know how an AI would even come close.
Yeah, I don't know if you've seen the RealBot tech where they have like the real facial expressions and everything.
Yeah.
It's creepy how good it is. Like really creepy.
Oh.
Because the face like you look at the face and you're like, damn, that looks like a person. Like, those facial expressions and reactions and the way the eyes move and the mouth moves and everything, like that's a person. Like that registers like every primal, function in my brain that tells me that's a human being. And I think we're getting to that point.
How does it feel to know that you might be one of the last people on Earth to actually get married?
Do the Futurama move.
Yeah.
Download Lucy Liu.
Oh, yeah. That might be a thing.
Yeah, it's weird because like we already see it with the deep fake technology. Like people, it's getting pretty good where like it completely replaces the person's face with whoever it is and then modulates their voice to sound almost exactly like the person. So you can literally have anybody play that role and just put the iconic voice and face over it. That's creepy. Because with that, you can make a person say or do anything you want.
Maybe even admit to a crime.
Especially admit to a crime.
Oh.
Or commit a crime.
Nefarious acts with the AI.
Which is really concerning. Like that is the part that almost terrible. And like James Earl Jones is fine because he has a lifetime of legacy that he's built up. I'm sure he's wealthy beyond any needs of retirement at this point. But for new people who are coming up in the business or coming to Hollywood, say you sign your first movie contract or whatever, you're all excited, you go to do it, and they're like, okay, we're just going to sample your voice, take a few shots of your image. Yeah, we like this. Okay, you're done. And you're like, what? And they're like, you're done. Well, we don't need you again, ever, because now we have all the data we need for your voice, for your expressions, for your portrayal, for your face. We can age you, we can de-age you. We don't need you anymore. Here's your one check. Goodbye, and that's it. Like your career is over. You're replaced by an AI and a robot.
That's disgusting.
That's terrifying. And I think that's where we're headed. I think in probably the next 100 years, you're going to see that a lot more than you think.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's fucked.
So, yeah, if you're a very young person, you might well start making other plans. Just in case.
Yeah.
But, yeah, just thought this was really interesting. Thought it was good to bring up. They're going to obviously use his likeness and voice in video games, movies, anything they want, really. Audio, podcasts, whatever. So definitely look out for that. It's cool. It's really cool technology. It's awesome that we are even able to do this, but it's terrifying. It's really terrifying.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's only improving.
I'll show you that real bot after the show. It's terrifying, like how good it is. Next up on the video game news. Speaking of remakes, The Witcher is also getting a remake. The original Witcher is being remade in Unreal Engine 5.
Thank God.
So there will now be a decent way to play the game and get the story of the new Witcher series. Because I think most people, probably, I'm speaking generally, but I think most people entered the video games with The Witcher 3. Maybe some with 2, but I think most people entered with 3.
Yeah.
And then the small minority, vocal minority, entered with 1, maybe 2, So it's encouraging that we'll get to play this game again. CD Projekt Red is obviously taking the lead on this. I think they recently broke into 2 branches of their studio, so obviously this won't be like the primary game because allegedly they're working on a new iteration of The Witcher. So I'm excited to see what happens. I'm hoping they don't just stay stuck as a Witcher producer, and that's it.
Yeah.
I mean, The Witcher 3 is a great game, and I would love to do more in that world, but I again, you don't own this property. It's owned by Sepkowski, and eventually you're not going to have the rights to it, and you're going to end up in a Telltale situation where you have to remove all your games from the game store because you lost the rights to A, B, and C, and
yeah,
it's concerning.
I mean, the same way that they don't really own Cyberpunk. Hopefully they do it justice and don't ship it too early like they did Cyberpunk.
Yeah. So look forward to that. I certainly will, but curious to see what they do for the new game.
Yeah.
Speaking of games, there's been a couple that have been released, and both with surprisingly negative reviews across the board. First of which, Gotham Knights. This is another one where I get to say, told you so. Told you so. Emery also gets to say, tell you so on this one, though.
I do. I'm a little surprised that you're so quick to say it, given that it was basically like one of the few games where you actually have a story, like kind of starring your boy Nightwing.
I know, but it looks terrible. Like we've been talking about this for like the past year. About like how every trailer for this game just looks off. Like something doesn't seem right. The art style doesn't look right. Like the characters look goofy and like bulky, unnaturally bulky, and like the combat doesn't look particularly polished looking, and the animations don't look particularly good. The voice acting really seems rough, and I would include Batman in that based on the preview footage we saw.
Yeah. It's not good.
It's not good.
It's not good, and moreover, it seems like a game that was supposed to be one way. That one way most likely being Marvel's Avengers style.
Yeah.
And then got shifted the other way at the last minute when they saw how bad Marvel's Avengers did.
Yeah. It's disappointing because all of these characters are cool and interesting and have great backstories, and like they're fun characters to be able to use and have fleshed out. Batman, his rogues gallery is what kind of sustains him, and the people around Batman. Like the hero is cool, but the character, the person, kind of sucks. Like is a rich boy with parental issues. Like
it's like he lost his parents, like most other heroes.
Like literally everyone.
Like literally every other major hero.
My parents are dead. Yeah, so mine are too. Hers are dead. His are dead.
And your answer was beat up strangers as opposed to what every other billionaire does, which is get lost in the sauce.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's...
But yeah, it's unfortunate because I thought this could be like a great entry when it was announced, and then when I saw the preview footage and like I was so disappointed.
The actual gameplay footage, it turned me off for the most part, and then I was confirmed in my belief the second that maybe a week or so before the game actually launched, it was leaked that not only does the game not have a performance mode like a lot of games are coming out with now, but at full price, this thing doesn't even stay locked at 30 frames,
which is ridiculous on a current gen system. Like, there's no way. There's no way this game is so taxing on your system the way it looks. There's no way that you can't push that.
Batman Arkham Knight came out 7 years ago. Think about that for a minute.
That's insane. That is insane.
That's insanity. A 7-year-old game looks better and somehow manages to be more populated than the game that you're playing right now.
Yeah. It's worth noting that this is being made by WB Montreal, which is not the primary Arkham studio. It's the one that made Arkham Origins. But Arkham Origins, as rough as it was around the edges, still looked and felt better than this game does.
This is just a thorough, incomplete disappointment.
Yeah. I mean, top to bottom, it's the way it looks, the way it sounds, the voice acting, the animation, the just the performance. Like the performance should be like the bare basic thing you got to get right. Like,
right.
It's not like one of these releases which is like all glitchy and broken and completely unplayable. That's not the case. It's just not fun. No one wants to pay $60 to $70 for a game that's not fun.
It's like the gameplay loop is repetitive and boring, apparently.
Yeah. So really disappointed to see that. Really bummed. Really had more hopes from Montreal's studio than that. Another game which came out and received some very poor press and reviews for its single player campaign is the big release, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, which unfortunately, despite them taking a chance and creating the new engine and everything, which it looks fantastic. Like graphically, it's incredibly impressive looking. But outside of the multiplayer, apparently there's just no reason to play this game, which sucks because the Modern Warfare characters are the only characters that are in my opinion, are worth anything. Like,
damn,
the Modern Warfare characters are great. And
they were, what, cut from the game?
They're in the game. They're just boring. And nothing they're doing matters. And it's like stuff that they're pulling out of like headlines from the past 5 years and just like doing for reasons without explanation. Like it's incredibly disappointing because the strong point of the Modern Warfare series is not only the gameplay, but the actual story itself. Like, they're really cool, really riveting missions, like stuff that could potentially obviously it's over the top and cinematic, but like stuff that could happen,
right?
Which makes it all the more like real and tangible, unlike Cold War, which is like ridiculous, over the top, like we're mind controlling this guy and making him,
Jesus,
yeah, like just stupid shit, like over the top. And then you have all the futuristic series, Advanced Warfare and stuff like that, where they go over the top and just start doing their own shit and running on walls and
doing a little too much,
off Titanfall.
Yeah.
Modern Warfare is supposed to be like the current kind of semi-grounded one that really focuses on character development. And the last one, the Modern Warfare reboot, was very well received. It was a little boring. Like the story wasn't as good as like the original, the OG Modern Warfare 1, 2, and 3. But it was cool. Like, they developed characters. It was fun. Gameplay was obviously fun. Characters were interesting. They introduced some new characters, which were really interesting. This game, they bring back all the classic characters that weren't in the original one. They were in the multiplayer, of course, because they got to make a buck. But they weren't in the main story, with the exception of the lead. And they bring back Ghost and Soap and all these characters, but it's like the stakes aren't anywhere near what they were in the original Modern Warfare 1, 2, and 3 that they're rebooting. It's just like such low stakes. It's just not, so disappointing to see that. So 2 games came out really hyped, really heavy in the press, but just fell flat on their face. Next up on the game news, we received confirmation that there is a PS5 Pro being pushed out with dev kits to various developers. So I don't know how you feel about this, but this kind of feels broken because
a little soon.
As far as the years go, anticipating this is going to be released like next year, the following holiday season, makes sense time-wise. But I feel like usually the argument for a pro system is that technology advanced to a certain point where we need to get a lot more performance out of this to sustain the market. That's not the case here. People still can't get a hold of PS5s. And because of the war in Ukraine and setbacks on logistics from the pandemic, technology development for CPUs and GPUs has not advanced that much from what it was 2, 3, 4, or 5 years ago. It really hasn't. The biggest change has been the Ryzen chip, which the PS5 already basically has. It basically has a unique bastardized version of the Ryzen chip from AMD. So there really isn't any significant upgrade to be had, and all the new like processors that AMD and Intel and all the GPU like NVIDIA they're pushing out. They're basically like taking features away and putting more wattage into the power consumption to overdrive it more. So there's not really anything better about the design or about the hardware. They're just pushing it harder and pushing your energy bill up harder.
Yeah.
So it feels really poorly planned and poorly thought out, because I don't think there's anything to justify a pro system right now. I get why some people would want one.
It feels too soon.
Yeah.
It's like it feels as though trying to cash in on they're trying to go with the pro gamer thing, especially when you consider that the DualSense Edge, the
$200 pro controller,
$200 pro controller, like also like announced, and like pre-orders I think are starting either soon if they haven't started already. This seems like a way to further cash in on the pro gamer, as it were.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. We haven't had availability for the PS5 as wide or as ubiquitous enough as it should have been, at least for another year or two.
Yeah.
We haven't had any advancements in computer technology in terms of resolution and processing speed nearly enough to justify a pro version of the PS5.
Yeah, and in fact, they just released an update not that long ago, 2 months ago, where they initiated 1440p resolution rates, which is actually less than 4K.
Yeah.
Because that's what a lot of PC monitors run at, and people want to use their PS5 on a PC monitor with a high refresh rate and a 1440 aspect ratio. So,
right. It's
like,
what are we doing here?
The industry is actively going backwards from like the peak, and you're trying to push a pro controller or a pro system for a system that people already want to the point where you can't supply them fast enough. It seems poorly thought out, poorly designed. We're still getting games on PS4. God of War Ragnarok, which is about to come out, is still on PS4 and being limited by the PS4 system. Xbox is... this was talked about publicly by a few developers recently. I think Call of Duty and from Activision was most notable, but there's some other producers talking about how the Xbox Series S is causing a bottleneck for developers, third-party developers, because they want to develop like the peak of the system for the X and the PS5, but they can't because Xbox requires them to produce a version that's playable on the Series S, which is basically a gutted version of the Xbox. So
yeah,
there's already a lot of contention with these pro systems versus non-pro systems, and Xbox released one that was already a pro system versus its alternative for no reason at all. Did not need to release the S at all.
Yeah, that's not only did they not need to release it, releasing that at the same time I think was very indicative of what they already knew going into it, which was the people being able to purchase this, like at the time, very limited in quantity console, only to have that further exacerbated by people who were purchasing these things en masse, only to resell them at exorbitant prices.
Yeah.
It seems as though they are trying to, at least, or they have been for a while now, game companies have been trying to compensate for the fact that there has been a whole lot of foul play when it comes to people being able to get their hands on these.
Yeah.
And realizing that a lot of people are still stuck with the previous generation because of this foul play.
Yeah.
It's leaving developers, much like CD Projekt Red, with their hands tied behind their back, because like they know what these like fully next current gen is supposed to be capable of, but because they're trying to still turn profits with their games, they're still developing a generation behind.
Yeah, and Xbox in particular really frustrates me, just as a fan of gaming in general, because you got to think, it doesn't make sense at any point. It doesn't make sense for cost, because you get cheaper parts by ordering in volume.
Yeah.
And if half of your volume has different parts because you're creating an S as opposed to an X, that means your cost for both systems goes up. So you're making less money, and your margins are smaller, if they exist at all, by the time you release the console. And as it ages, it's going to get even more expensive. You know, that newer technology in the X, it'll last a little bit longer. The S is working on old technology. It was outdated when it came out, and now it's particularly outdated as the years go by. And when they're outdated, those parts get more and more and more expensive. They don't get less expensive because no one's producing them and nobody's wanting to manufacture old, slow hardware.
Right.
So it just does not make sense, and the whole industry suffers because of it, because you bottlenecked the whole industry with your shitty system. It's like the PS3 with its cell processor.
Yeah.
The PlayStation's fucked up plenty. Believe me, this isn't one-sided. With their particularly, it was a powerful processor. It's so powerful that people are still using it at like NASA because it has such a unique architecture.
Yeah.
But it was so difficult to develop for back during the time period that it defeated the whole purpose. And so all these third-party developers were eventually like, fuck it, I'm not even going to bother, because it's just not worth my time, you know, to develop this special programming for this game that won't be playable in the future because it's not backwards compatible with anything.
Right.
And there's just no profit to be made. So it's really frustrating when these hardware producers just keep fumbling the ball. And I feel like the pro system appeals to the wrong type of customer. You're appealing to the PC person who wants to upgrade every 2 or 3 years and swap out their hard drive and swap out their RAM and swap out their CPU and their GPU to the latest and greatest hardware.
Right.
That's not the console audience. The console audience wants something they can put down, plug in, and play. They don't want to sit there and download 600 drivers. They don't want to sign 700 user agreements for every single game and every single system and every single component. They don't want 600 iterations of customizable systems. Like, just give us a system. If you want to have some interchangeability, like data storage, so that you can release it at a cheaper price and they can put a 2 terabyte hard drive in there if they want to, that's fine. But when you're trying to market these pro systems, 3 years in, 4 years in, like, what's the point? There's no point.
I think the even bigger problem is if you get people accustomed to customizing your system, it's only a matter of time before they realize,
this is just a PC.
Not only is this just a PC, I could just build a PC.
Mm-hmm.
And that's antithetical, honestly, to the idea of console gaming. Now, with more people moving to Steam, I do predict that the next generation or two will slowly be moving towards just either becoming a PC in its own right, or maybe even probably very foolishly attempting to go the way of Google Stadia.
Yeah.
Is like, instead of just purchasing...
Already did.
Yeah, purchasing a big old thing, why don't you just get a controller and do all of your gaming from the cloud?
Yeah. It's funny seeing how stubborn Facebook is with Meta and its metaverse.
It's trying,
which is losing billions of dollars
It's trying to make
and
Meta
not
happen.
slowing. Whereas Google is just like, oh, this didn't work 3 months in. Pfft, we're done.
Yeah,
we're good.
yeah,
Google
no.
Plus, nah, don't. It sucked. Bye.
Cutting the loss with the Stadia. They cut their losses with the Google Lens.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting seeing the dichotomy of Silicon Valley, where one company is just so stubborn and so sure of themselves, and the other one's just like,
we're throwing darts at a board.
We could do something else.
It's like, oh, this one sticks, this one doesn't. Yeah.
Neither system works, but it's interesting seeing the both play out in different ways.
Like two different ways of failing.
Yep. And then the last news item of the day, I alluded to it earlier when we were talking about what we've been watching, listening to, and playing. Horizon, the TV show that's being produced, has been announced as Horizon 2074, which alludes to basically around the period that the society basically collapsed in the Horizon universe historically. So I assume that this is going to be less of a Horizon big robot dinosaurs running around tribal peoples, in furs and shooting saber-toothed tiger robots and stuff like that, and more of the, this is how the society collapsed, this is what triggered everything, and it's going to be like more of like a Last of Us survival type of show, and probably better off because of that for a TV series.
I foresee problems with this. The first one being that year 2074 sounds awful close to 2077, which is a hell of a year, a hell of a correlation to possibly make.
I don't know why they picked these particular years in general.
Yeah,
but it's there.
Yeah, that's what they went with. I also foresee problems with specifically if it's taking place during a time period that visually the players have no reference for. It allows them freedom, but it, apart from like any of the like tapes or like other pieces or documents or data that you get from like the first game, you're going to have little to no reference for what the hell is happening, which means there's no anchor. Like apart from the name Horizon, it doesn't seem as though there's, at least from an outside perspective, that there's anything for fans to really latch onto. Like if I was a fan of the games, I would be expecting or at least looking for some sort of Robo Dino, or like some sort of allusion to the main character of the Horizon games, Aloy. I'm all for original content, but this, I think that there could have been at least one or two things that they led with that would have made this a much easier sell.
Yeah, it's the challenge is on the writing staff to take the time to develop the world, right? Because I would assume that most people that watch the show probably won't have played the game.
Right. That's another thing.
I don't mean that as an insult. I mean, just factually, if you're on HBO Max or Netflix or Hulu or whatever, and you're watching something, a live action series like a drama, you're probably not going to be savvy that, this is a video game,
And this is based on like a video game or something. Yeah.
It'll just be those particular like deep divers that are like, oh, cool, and they made a Horizon show. Apparently, they directed the actress that's playing Ellie in the Last of Us TV show to not play the game or watch reviews or anything, because they wanted her to play Ellie like fresh, the way she interpreted it from the script, not from the game. They didn't want her to copy the character from the games, which could be a great thing, but could also be a bad thing. And I assume they're going to take a similar direction with the game the show Horizon. And I don't know. It could be a terrible thing. This could easily blow up in their face and be terrible, but I kind of have hope that might be the right direction to go to the past, and it's giving the people that did play the game something to look forward to. Oh, it's like,
let's flesh out this time period that you don't really get to see in the game.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to spoil anything. You see things, but you obviously don't get to be immersed in that world because it's long gone. It's long dead.
Right.
You're just kind of managing the pieces of what's left. And I think they could do a really cool thing with it, interpret, a futuristic version of our own society. And really, they could pick any location they want.
That's true.
They could go to any foreign because it's not tied to the games directly. You could really stage it wherever you want.
Yeah, there being a lot of freedom with what they could do with it is a positive in their favor for sure.
Yep.
I will say, no matter what they do, it can't be as bad as the Halo TV show, right?
Have you watched it? That's Paramount Plus, right?
It is.
Did you watch it? Is it bad? Is it bad? Or is it just another one?
As someone who isn't really a fan of Halo, even I was upset by this fucking show.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a bummer. It had a lot of production value, right?
I
haven't watched it yet because I don't have Paramount Plus, but...
Man, there was a scene where one of the needler guns just wasn't even painted in the scene.
Oh, no. No. Were they carrying like AK-47s? Like Star Wars Andor?
I think it might have just been like straight up AK-47s for like the regular grunts, but like maybe the one or two times that you see anyone from the Covenant, yeah, it wasn't good.
That's a bummer.
You definitely don't see the Flood. The main dude,
Master Chief.
I was about to call him Halo.
Halo.
Because, he's a good guy and doesn't afraid of anything.
The main character, Zelda, is...
What if Zelda was a girl? No, Master Chief, the person who is stereotypically known throughout the entire game series for never taking his helmet off, takes his helmet off all the goddamn time. And that's not the only thing he takes off in the series.
They got to justify the actor's contract, we paid this dude. We got to show him off.
Did we need to show off his butt cheeks?
Well, that's the thing about characters like Master Chief. You never have to see his face.
Literally ever.
Ever. He's sealed in that suit.
And
he's not coming out.
The movie Judge Dredd is a very good example of someone committing to the concept that the person never takes their fucking helmet off.
Yeah.
And it helps the performance.
Gotta have Stallone's chin, though.
I prefer Carl Urban's chin. The Horizon TV show is a whole lot of X factors. It's like, I don't know what to think.
Yeah, it's weird.
That's a good and a maybe not so good place.
Yeah. Before I played the games,
no
interest whatsoever. Did not give a fuck.
Right.
Was not interested in the show, so I'm interested in seeing how the general audience receives it.
Yeah.
Maybe it gets enough hype that, it gets propped up. Whereas Last of Us, I think even general audiences are aware that Last of Us is like this deep storytelling, character development, like thing that I should dive into, However, what Sony's doing with Last of Us, where they're trying to tell the actress to portray it uniquely to that actress instead of like trying to live up to the character itself.
Right.
A little concerning. A little bit concerning, because I feel like if you don't portray that character the way she's portrayed in the games, that could backfire real quick on because
All
The
it
Last
takes
of Us
is-
has a very fervent fan base. Like, they are vicious. If you fuck up their franchise, like a lot of people think Last of Us 2 did,
Mm-hmm.
you're gonna find out. They're not gonna be quiet about it. And
If you fuck around, you will find out.
check the chart. Yeah, it's concerning. It's risky. It's a risky approach. It might they might be rewarded for it. I don't know, but I'm concerned. I'm very concerned,
and for good reason.
All right, well, that wraps up all the news for this week. Again, this is a especially big episode because of the month-long hiatus and the amount of ridiculous reveals that happened during that time that we did not anticipate.
Yeah, that was a lot.
But I hope you enjoyed this jumbo-sized Halloween edition of Hit the Books podcast. Of course, before we leave, we have to give out the prestigious, nay, life-changing award of Cover of the Week.
Ha 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 ha.
Of course, you can find this at your local comic book shop.
Again, please support your local comic book shops.
Every Wednesday. And of course, we find these on our resource, freshcomics.us. So definitely check that out. They're a great resource. So, the winner of the prestigious Nay Life-Changing Award of Cover of the Week goes to Boom Studios' Stuff of Nightmares. Number 2, the Lotte cover, done by Tula Lotte. This is, of course, R.L. Stine's created series for Boom Studios, just in time for Halloween, of course. This is the second issue, obviously premiered in October here, so really cool, really appropriate. And this is just a classic, horror, like, I don't want to say cliche, but it's a little bit of a cliche. The horrified woman, she's got blood on her hands, clearly messed up, clearly disheveled, horrified, screaming in terror.
I know this isn't a reference to the movie Psycho, but it immediately made me think of the movie Psycho.
Yeah, I mean, it's a genre cliche for a reason.
Yeah.
But this is illustrated very well. Colors are vibrant and cool. Very much up a mature version of R.L. Stine's Alley, which this is Stuff of Nightmares is famously spoken about as R.L. Stine's first kind of adventure into a more mature horror version of his material, obviously famous for the kids horror series Goosebumps.
Most of his fans are adults now, so yeah, it's time.
It tracks.
Yeah.
So we'll see if it's good. I did mean to pick up the first issue. I do want it. I do want to collect it. So I will be reading the first issue, and if I enjoy it, we'll be moving on to the second issue. So hopefully I get to give you a quick and dirty review of this series in the very near future. And of course, as is new tradition, we are reading the synopsis to promote this comic, which again, pick up at your local comic book shops.
Again, please support your local comic book shops.
I just like making Emery say it.
Yeah. I mean, it should go without saying, but it should also be said.
All right, let's get into it. After losing everything in a fiery disaster, the Cameron brothers, Stella and Frankie, flee to an abandoned manor to get their hands on fresh corpses and continue their macabre experiments. But they aren't alone, and the terror is just beginning in the ghastly tale that only the Nightmare Keeper could tell. Happy Halloween. And no, this cover did not win because it's Halloween. It just happened to be the best one this week.
It did just happen to be the best one.
So, appropriate.
Yeah.
So congratulations once again to Tula Lotte. This is a wonderful cover. Great illustration, great color, great contrasts. A little cliche, but we forgive it.
It portrays exactly what I think it should. The stuff of nightmares.
I do find it a little suspicious that the Nightmare Keeper is apparently a main character in this series. Sounds like the Crypt Keeper, perhaps.
I don't know.
R.L. Stine, are you committing plagiarism? Don't lie to me.
Well, I guess we'll have to read and find out.
So we can support his plagiarism financially.
Hey. If you got it, flaunt it. If you don't, maybe get someone else's.
Fair. All right. I think that's a good place to end it. Thank you once again for listening, watching, and supporting the show. I appreciate your patience with the hiatus we had there. And hopefully you look forward to many more episodes coming down the line. Hopefully the new segment format will make it easier to digest, and we'll put tags in the main podcast video, and then I'll also release the other segments as individual parts in the very near future. Hopefully you enjoy that. It's a little bit of extra work. Hopefully I can manage it with the baby. We'll find out next week. But definitely look forward to our episode next week. And of course, catch Those Natural Ones on twitch.tv/Those Natural Ones at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time every Tuesday. And of course, you can find their stream on YouTube and on your podcast services of choice shortly afterwards. So definitely look forward to that. Follow them on their social medias. Nick Marlatt, the ghost of Nick Marlatt. He is missed.
He is missed dearly.
But I'm sure we'll see him in the near future. So definitely look forward to that. Again, reach out to us at HTBVids at facebook.com/HitTheBooks. You can always check out our website, HTBVids.com. And of course, you can email us at HitTheBooksVids@gmail.com for any suggestions, questions, topics of the show, or just any constructive criticism in general, promotions, anything like that. All right. Thank you once again for watching, listening. We appreciate your support. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already. We will see you next week. Goodbye.
Look, I'm just saying, if they fuck up DC one more time, I'm out.
Please. Riddle me this, Crow. Why are you still watching this mediocre program?
Because you've got nothing else.
All right, we'll see you next week.